The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing. Live tonight from the Bristol Motor Speedway, LSRTV with you on a Monday night to say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to LSRTV's continuing coverage of the 2018 Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series powered by English Auto L.L.C. As we return tonight, 2 weeks of off-track action, but the series is now back in the swing of things as we go racing for round number 6 on this 2018 campaign. From Thunder Valley, this is the Bristol 225, and as we always are, you're happy that you're with us on your home for sim racing at iRacing Live up at the LSRTV booth. Myself, Evan Pasoko, alongside with Chris Murdoch on the call for you this evening. Downstairs, as always, is the lovely and talented Cisco Scarabuza, twisted and tweaking the dials and bringing us to you this evening. And Chris, 2 weeks that we have been off, it seems like an eternity ago that we were at the Martinsville Speedway for that 5th race on the season, in which we saw David Washington get his 2nd win of the year, but we head right back into the short track swing of things from Bristol tonight for 225 laps of action.
Yeah, we go from one unforgiving track to an almost even more unforgiving track, just a few hours removed from the real life one where we saw rain plague that, but lucky for us, we're here in the iRacing sim. Rain not going to be a problem, or we're going to be on track for 225 laps here tonight. Evan, it could go by really fast, or we could see drivers get ate up by this very, very tricky Coliseum.
And of course, if you were with us last night with the American Full Supply Truck Series with our friends at the Championship Esports Association, got a little bit of Bristol fever to close off your weekend, but always so happy when the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series is back. We are into, as I said, round number 6. Still a long way to go in the season. Ultimate objective, qualify for the playoffs and all that good stuff. But as we noted at the very start of the season, one thing that we have to keep in mind is our segment champions. And, well, therefore, 10 races, first 10 on the season. Champion is going to be crowned, and a good bit of cash going to be handed out. So we're halfway through this opening 10 race segment. So as we come into tonight, it is David Washington at the top of the championship pylon, 30 points ahead of Daniel Eberhardt. Those are the 2 drivers who have been able to find victory lane 2 times on the season. Brendan Bowie, Seth the Merchant, Nick Silverall in the mix a little bit further down inside of the top 10. Spencer Preet 7th in the points as well with a trip to victory lane. But that's the points picture coming into this evening. Again, big objective is qualify for the playoffs at the end of the year, but if you want your share of $300 up for grabs, Chris, after round number 10, you better get up into those top couple of spots right there in the points.
And this could really be a make or break race for a lot of these guys, Evan, because Bristol, like I mentioned before, is such an unforgiving track. You could be just driving your own race thinking you're maybe about 2 seconds ahead of the guy in second, but lap traffic can be such a big factor here, and it can reel you back in. So you definitely need a really, really good race here tonight to be able to, secure your points position and maybe even move up a few spots.
And there's been a lot of those races, though, in this opening segment. I would think more so in this first 10-week period than anywhere else in the season. Talk about coming off of a Martinsville. Tonight we're at Bristol. We go 5 straight weeks of racing all the way through the middle portion of May. But next week we're at Richmond. Definitely a toss-up race. That'll be followed up by Talladega. Then another short track in Dover. We've already seen Daytona and Phoenix. So it is a very treacherous opening 10-race period. period to this 2018 Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series campaign powered by English Auto L.L.C. And definitely can get yourself behind the 8 ball per se if you do not get the results that you were looking for in these first few weeks. We know it is going to be a battle. It always is when you head out to the last great Coliseum. And the cars are on track side. Let's get a look at them before they get torn up a little bit. Look top to bottom. And tonight's LSRTV starting grid. Pole position in this one, it goes to Jeff Ward, a 15.356. Only driver to break down into the .35 bracket. Puts Ward on pole position. He'll be joined by the 88 of Andrew Faridas, who starts in second. Spencer Preet, Kyle Kramer going to make up row 2. They start 3rd and 4th respectively, with Lionel Calisto in 5th.
6th is going to go to that 67 of Sean Casto. Nick Silver going to be 7th. 8th, Daniel Eberhardt. Eric Stanford going to be 9th. And rounding out your top 10, the 57 of Seth the Merchant.
Dave Parrish starts tonight in 11th spot. Dwayne Vincent alongside in 12th. Mr. Austin Coop ends up in that unlucky number 13 starting position this evening. He'll be joined by David Washington outside of row 7, starting 14th. A tad bit behind them, Carl Shedd, P15.
16 just behind Shed is going to be Galen Gidman. Gabe Wood going to be 17th. Travis Brown 18th. 19th goes to Daniel Folkingham. And Tommy Ryan rounding out your top 20.
James Ross going to start tonight in the 21st position. Andrew T. Jones starts 22nd. Michael Cozy Jr. in 23rd. Ross Cato in 24th. And back in 25th spot, it's the 4 of Braden Whitaker.
26 is going to go to Tom Morano, AJ Browning, 27th, Mike Gariglia, 28th, 29th, Dylan Jones, and 30th is Brandon Bowie.
The rest of these drivers all taking times based on the provisionals, no time in the Q session. So to be 31st for Rod Flag, 32nd for Shane Ewan. Harry Tiller's going to be 33rd after he messed up on his opening qualifying attempt. Brian Chambliss in 34th position, Drew Adams in 35th, and Mike Taylor in 36th position is a look top to bottom at your LSRTV starting grid. Field starts to roll. Let's talk about the world's fastest half mile, Chris. This racetrack clocks in at just a smidge over a half a mile in length. Means that as we go racing for 225 laps tonight, we will eclipse 120 miles between the drop of the green and the checkered flag. But the big thing about this racetrack is that intimidating banking that makes it oh so exciting. 26 degrees down low, 30 degrees up top, and it is going to be elbows up, door-to-door action, nail-biting for the very start to the end.
You're exactly right, Evan. It's going to be hard for these drivers to find any moment in time to breathe. They're going to be side by side for the majority of this race and inside and out of 3 wide, just trying to find out where the line's going to go. We were talking a little bit before we went on air here tonight about where the line's going to be. We know that that top line has been so prominent, but as things progress, we might see drivers with this many cars on track, Evan, try that bottom line, and it might actually stick and be able to work here in for a few laps.
Ready to do battle at Bristol. The pace car going to head down to the safety of the pit lane this time. And the field is going to be in the hands of the 80 machine of Jeff Ward. As always, happy that you're spending a Monday evening with us at LSRTV, your home for sim racing and iRacing Live. Going to have to go on the drop of the American Ethanol green flag. No real big advantage for Ward on the front row. We'll see if he can make the inside work as we get set for the first of 225 laps from Bristol, Tennessee. Green flag in the air. And we're underway for race 6 of this Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series campaign. Battle for the race lead. There it is. Farinas challenges down the back to turn 3.
Freenar still there in that 88 on the outside. We were just talking about how that outside line is going to be the place you're going to want to make your passes, but how about Jeff Ward? These first opening laps hanging tough on the inside, but not going to be enough move that 88 to the lead, and immediately down to the bottom Andrew Freenars goes as he's trying to block the run from that 89. But look at Jeff Ward trying to battle back, but not going to be enough on the outside. He's going to have to surrender that position for now.
The Ward does tuck back down in line, and Faridas utilized the outside of the racetrack to go to the lead, but he'll hold the bottom that time in 3 and 4, and that will cross things up. Now it is Faridas down low, and Jeff Ward moving up to the outside of the racetrack. I would suspect the outside is going to be the lane you want to run in if you're just riding around. You see the 37 Spencer Preet up there as well, who has been comfortably in 3rd through this entire run, and Jeff Ward the advantage that time by the line. The outside is just so good because you come flying off off of that banking. Right there, you saw the 88 of Freedars watch into the quarter here. Look at about even right there in the center, and then the 89 will just blow him out of the water off of the quarter. That's what makes the outside so dangerous. And Freedars is succeeding the #1 position, if you will. Looks like he's trying to find a spot in line in second and keep the 37 Preet behind him, although he's committed to diving that car way down to the inside.
He is committed at this moment. Meanwhile, behind them, everything pretty much single filed out. As we go through the back of the field, you can see David Washington, Dwayne Vincent doing battle with Austin Coop lurking on in the back there. But everything throughout your top 10 pretty much single filed, except for these guys at the lead really battling as Jeff Ward takes back the lead from the 88. He's really trying to work in that bottom line, Evan. Andrew Freedars is, as he's trying to get back to the inside of that 89.
And this is going to continue. Sustained battle for the race lead. Already 8 laps down from Bristol. There's a lot going on in mid-pack. You can see it in some of the wider shots, but obviously all eyes at the top of the scoring pylon here as Jeff Ford and Andrew Freedars continue to exchange blows in battle for the race lead. Again, Preet does not want to be a part of this. He continues to sit back, mind his own business in third as Freedars continues to go down to the inside of the racetrack. He is one of the only drivers really going down to the bottom. If you look at that secondary group from Casto, Everhart, everybody 3rd, 4th, 5th, and on back. And single file train, all the cars are up top. So Freedars is definitely the difference in all of this as he rides down low.
And a difference he can be. He can really make that inside line work. We see him. He's really hanging on there, that inside line, just trying to take the lead back from the 89 of Jeff Ward. But that outside line right now is just hooked up, and you can't really make too many passes on the bottom here at Bristol. But Freedars is trying to prove me wrong as you see him get a run at a 2, and a caution going to be out.
Caution flag is out, and this race is going to get slowed down for the first time tonight, and it is a big mess at a quarter. Company cars around. Ross Cato is one of them. The 12 machine, trying to see if he was near the start of this. No, he was one of the drivers who got collected in the mess that started with Tommy Ryan in the 99 and Carl Shedd in the 45. We'll get a second look on the LSRTV replay, but those two cars get together, and I think it was just really a racing deal. You see somebody get together off of the quarter there, Chris. It's very loose, and these cars are so unstable when they make that transition down to the more or less flat part of the straightaways, and 99 might have come down a little bit, 45 might have pushed up a little bit. They get together, and even though we were a good bit removed from that drop of the green flag, only 10 laps removed from that, still had guys pretty tightly packed together, and that's why so many drivers couldn't get out of the way. This racetrack is self-cleaning. It's hard to find a hole when they come sliding back down.
Yeah, you get little to no reaction time at this track, Evan. And, you know, just going back to where the wreck started with that 99 of Tommy Ryan and Carl Shedd in that 45, I was talking to some of the league administrators before this race and trying to ask them where the trouble spots were going to be, and we had all kind of agreed that it was going to be in 4, which is exactly what we saw out of Tommy Ryan, just slipping and sliding out of the corner, and he got it, did a really good job at chasing it back and getting it back under control, but unfortunately Carl Shedd was moving up to maybe kind of get up next to the door of the 99 and didn't realize he was loose, and just kind of like you mentioned, a racing deal that got these guys mixed up.
Obviously under the yellow, everybody going to slow things down, try to catch up and reset themselves. If you can get into a long green flag stretch, the laps don't take all that long here at the Bristol Motor Speedway. All the times in the qualifying session, first through 29th position on the grid, or 27th, excuse me, was all sub 16-second lap times, all between 15.3s and 15.9s, so the pace is obviously there. Yellows, though, definitely going to be a big part of a race at Bristol. You have to expect, Chris, you're going to get your fair share of them, and they'll definitely play effect on what strategy gets implemented tonight as well, because you're going to have plenty of opportunities to come down to an open pit road. It's up to you for when you want to decide to pull that trigger. Nobody up front thinking about it this time.
Yeah, everybody kind of sticking in line, keeping back up front. There was a few takers that time with the 88 of Freedars. Jeff Ward going to come down a little bit. So we are going to shake things up a little bit up front with Sean Casto taking the lead, Lionel Callisto in that 97. Going to be taking it, but right now not too many really taken. We got about 6 cars that really stayed out. So it'll be interesting to see old versus new tires here, Evan. How much of a difference it does make, you know, only being that those short green flag laps, but we'll see just how big the difference is here tonight at Bristol.
The way everything shuffles up, Casto is going to become your race leader. He'll be trailed by, as you noted, Lionel Callisto, Nick Silver, Galen Gidman, Daniel Falkenham, Drew Adamson are the drivers who are able to slide themselves back up to the front. Everybody else decided to go with the routine stop. That was 4 tires and fuel. Should note that Andrew Freitas did leapfrog Jeff Ward from what was second to first at the time, so that means that he'll be in front of him in 7th. So top 6 cars stay out. 7th on the back, everybody working with some fresh Goodyear Eagles. Pace car to head back down at him this time. Casto will have the benefit now of being the control car as he tries to set the pace for this run and maybe check out and get away from everybody else. American Ethanol green flag flies are backing away, but it is a little bit of a rough start there as he got through the gears. We're going to go 3 wide behind as it's Freitas and a fresh tires powering through the field, but up front the 97 of Callisto topside to the race lead.
Yeah, that 88 not afraid to use the bumper. We can see him trying to make his way, and it looks like he's even shading 3 wide, but that 24 of Nick Silver not going to let it happen, and then a bumper, and there it goes. Will Silver be able to hold on? He does. Amazing save by that 24 machine as Andrew Freitas shows a little bit of impatience.
And I think you have to have a little bit of impatience or that will to push the issue on these restarts. And, well, Freitas, for him, it has worked pretty well because he's already up to Casto. Again, the big thing was passing Jeff Ward on pit road because that was 1 spot difference on the pit lane coming back out, and Ward is still dealing with some pretty thick lap traffic. Meanwhile, he's already up there fighting for the top 2 spots.
It definitely worked out good for that 88 machine, not so good for that 24 of Nick Silver, who has heavy back end damage after that contact between he and the 88. Now he's getting just freight train on the bottom side, can't find a way back up, just got passed by that 90 of Daniel Eberhardt, who just made some contact with the wall, and that's something we got to watch out for as well. Drivers getting just a little bit too friendly with that wall, making contact, getting maybe a little bit too close, trying to get too much, because you can see them start to ride the wall a little bit, trying to work that high line into the race tonight. We're seeing our leader Lionel Callisto do it, just trying to get the run off the corner, but Andrew Freitas is there side by side, already back up to 2nd and now battling for the lead.
We will see if Ward is able to make those final couple of steps up front, but it is Freitas to the inside of Callisto, side by side for the race lead. 24 laps in, 225. The 97 is at the tire disadvantage, but he does have, of course, the advantage of what I think is still going to be that better line to be in up on the outside, and that's why you saw Freitas blaze through the field up to 2nd and then stop as Callisto puts up a good fight, but with 200 laps to go on the board, Freitas does finally break through, and he's to the race lead in this one.
Yeah, Freitas wasting little time getting back up, which is amazing for that 88 machine. As for the 89, who we saw him do a little bit of battle with here at the beginning, still stuck back there in 4th, didn't quite get the jump that Andrew Freitas did on the rest of the field, sitting back there on 4th, but slowly making his way back up through these guys who have older tires. Meanwhile, back through the pack, we're going to see Daniel Eberhardt take to the inside to try to pass that 37 of Spencer Spreet. Going to have to hold off as another caution comes out.
Anytime there's a yellow, you got to be prepared for where it might be. This one is on the back straightaway. Harry Tiller in the number 69 car is turned around, and we'll get another yellow flag on tonight, just like we saw in those first couple of ones. So the driver who we see parked on the back straightaway, not the driver where all of this started. The problems arose with the 11 of Dylan Jones, was fighting back in 21st and wasn't really willing to commit. It was a little bit of an indecisive move there with Whitaker and Cozy in front of him. Thought about going 3 wide, thought better of it, which I think was a better decision, but he checked up right in front of the 6 of Austin Coop, who got him into the back end, loosened him up a little bit, and Jones went around. A couple of cars scattered, a couple of drivers spun all the way around, and that's why we're slowed down for a second time this evening.
And it was unfortunate for that 11 of Dylan Jones, because he makes what he thinks is the right move, not pushing it 3 wide too early, and with the reaction time here, like we talk about, Austin Coop was not prepared for that big of a checkup, just ran into the back of him, and then it all transpired from there, just slowly spinning him around. And then all these other drivers, the 18 of Shane Parrish, and then we saw the Harry Tiller get involved, spinning around. It's just when you're all trying to check up at once, there's some drivers that may see it, some drivers that may not, and you could be sent for your own ride just trying to miss the first direct going down the back straightaway.
The first thing I said as soon as that yellow came out is, of course, find out where it is on track, and always concerned as a race leader that something happens and it doesn't take long to zip around a corner here and catch yourself up on the back of a lot of mayhem. So all the race leaders did a good job of in unison slowing down, not putting themselves in an uncomfortable position, and being able to limit that accident to exactly what it was and not having that snowball any further. But second, a quick yellow flag. A lot of drivers pitted on that first exchange, not as many though pitted on the second time around. Definitely had takers. Faridar's notably comes down and will once again sacrifice the race lead in exchange of some fresh tires. But what that is going to do is it is going to put the 97 to Lionel Callisto to the race lead in this one from Bristol. See if we can get the driver of the 97 on the radio. You got a copy, Lionel?
Yes, I do.
Well, hey, you guys are doing a good job so far. First off, you guys qualified inside of the top 5. The car's looking sporty. Tell us a little bit about what it takes to get fast around this Bristol Motor Speedway.
That's pretty tough. Right now, I'm just trying to search that line right now, but the high line seems to work for me. I know a couple guys on fresh tires. Seem like the low line's working for them, but I just have to just keep grinding it out and just avoid all the wrecks, pretty much.
And oftentimes it's a lot easier said than done. Lights on top of the pace car. We'll let you get out of here. We appreciate your moment, and good luck here going back green.
Hey, thank you.
Thanks again, driver the 97, Lionel Callisto, for giving us a brief moment. He is going to be the control car on this restart. Side by side with Sean Casto up top. Driver who pitted and gave up the race lead, Andrew Faridas, leads the train of fresh cars. With fresh tires, they are going to be from 9th position on through the back of the field. But second time in a row, the 97 decided not to pit. And this one is going to be delayed. Pace car started to head down, and then the lights flipped back on, and it pulled back out. So it's going to take a moment, I think, for everybody to find themselves back into the correct position. At that point, pace car was a little bit off, Chris. I think drivers were starting to go, and the pace car's back out in front. We'll try it again.
And that's something you got to watch out for here, Evan, with those tires. When race control decides to throw the caution back out, these guys are already getting back up through the gears, hitting the gas and trying to get the most out of it. So to go that fast and have to hit the brakes and slow back down, that might do a little bit for the tires, but I think we've got everything sorted out to go back green this time.
We'll wait to see how this one plays out. We'll try it again as we get set to go back green flag racing from Bristol. There goes Callisto. And we are back underway. The 97 machine, heard him say he prefers the outside line. And you can see as he gets clear into the corner, moves up, leaves the inside open. But the objective is to get those runs off the straightaways. Outside's going to work for Casto as well, as he's able to hold off the 37 Spencer Preet. Preet struggling down low. He'll fall to 4th.
Yeah, and just as he falls to 4th, look who just went past him. That 90 of Daniel Everhart started 8th, able to work his way up to 3rd, and he doesn't look like he wants to stop there. You keep seeing him shade the inside. A little bit of contact between he and Spencer Preet, going to send him maybe a little bit lower than he wanted to in the corner, but look who's already back up inside the top 5, Evan. That 88 of Andrew Faridas.
Radar's obviously in the 88, blistering through the field with the fresh tires. He did it once, no surprise that he's doing it again, but a side-by-side fight's going to slow him down. Everhart steps down low, and he'll go side-by-side with Casto with a fight for second, and that leaves the 88 with nowhere to go.
The 88 has nowhere to go, as now we're caution flag once again here on the track. Going to slow it back down. Going to have to try and get past them once again.
There's going to be issues with the 81 of Mike Taylor. Had a little bit of help on this one. Again, very similar to what we saw in that last one. Checking up for a battle in front of him. Andrew T. Jones behind in the 64. Gets him to the back end, loosens him up. You really can't hit a car on that back end coming off of the quarters here. It gets the 81 sideways and a very lazy spin down to the inside wall to bring the caution flag back out. It'll be the 3rd yellow we've had through 38 laps of contest. What we'll do is we'll step aside, take a yellow flag of our own per se, and go LSRTV non-stop so you don't miss a moment of the action. We'll be back to Bristol for the restart in a moment. Lionel Callisto, though, no pit stops. He leads at lap number 39. You're watching a Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series powered by English Auto LLC at LSRTV, your home for sim racing. Back live from the Bristol Motor Speedway. Lights out on top of the iRacing.com official pace car. Race start to up 42 down. The 225 laps total distance on the board here tonight from Thunder Valley, Tennessee. So the pace car headed back off. No changes on the front row. Going to be Callisto and then Casto inside and out. Keep an eye on Freenars at the 88 though. Lead car on the fresh tires, who is soaring through the field, but the yellow stopped him at about P5 where he sits now. Early jump for the 97, but Casto's going to make a fight out of it. He's got that preferred lane on the outside to turn 2. The 97 wants to clear. He'll do it as they really start to get checked up second on back.
Yeah, 67 did not get the run that he needed. That's going to be Sean Casto out of turn 2. Checked the entire high line up. Almost caused a slight of a bit of an accordion effect there that would have caused a wreck. But right now, the 67 of Casto doing battle with the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt. Eberhardt doing a good job at making his way slowly to the front. But how about that 88 of Freenars and even the 89 of Jeff Ward? We saw Jeff Ward drop a whole bunch of positions there on that first pit stop as a caution comes out.
Quick yellow, it's not going to be the guys up front, and his big problems in the back of the field. A lot of cars torn up in this one. It is a parking lot on the front straightaway. At least a dozen race cars were involved in this one, and it's only the drivers who were not able to keep on going. A lot of them got torn up but kept the cars rolling. It all started with David Washington in the number 98 machine checking up for the 3-1 in front of him. Third time in a row we've seen something exactly like this happen, Chris. And the 98 checks up. 01 machine right behind it. Travis Brown doesn't get the memo. Turns him around sideways, and the racetrack was completely blocked. Those drivers who got together initially, they were able to drive away. But the problem was the racetrack was blocked for a huge field of cars coming through, and that's where it got ugly.
You get mere seconds to react at this track here, Evan, and if you're not on the ball, laser focused, you can have an incident just like this, which we have seen many times here tonight already. It just looked like the 01 just couldn't get checked up. That's Travis Brown, just could not get checked up in time and slowly sent the 98 around. And when you're coming out of a corner like that off of 4, Evan, it's pretty much blind. You're pretty much staring at the racetrack, and coming up off that corner, you're not seeing all these cars, and you just have nowhere to go. You're going to either try to yank it towards the bottom, which would cause you to spin low and maybe hit the inside wall, or you're just going to plow right into them. There's no really win situation with a wreck like that out of the corner.
And especially when I don't think the straightaways are any more so for safe haven. They definitely have their own challenges because that pit road wall is not all that far away either. So that really narrows things up. But the problem in the corner is, again, self-cleaning. Those cars are only going to slide down the hill, and that's how you get involved in even more accidents after the initial little bit of contact. So that's the conundrum per se that you find here at Bristol, and there's nothing that those cars behind can do. If you slam on the left pedal and lock up the brakes, you're just going to go up and into the outside wall. That's not going to be the answer. It's just simply a case of being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
You're exactly right, and that's what happens a lot here at Bristol, is just wrong place, wrong time. But for right now, that 97 of Lionel Callisto, right place, right time. He's able to hold on to the lead for a little bit longer, and Sean Casto able to hold in second. Andrew Freenars, Jeff Ward not able to move or advance up any further. So right now, that 97 looking good up front. Evan able to use that high line to really make things work and make that car move. He's doing a great job at leading this race so far.
So far is the key thing, though. You're able to obviously do good early. Laps led is important and dandy for bonus points and such, but I said that the battle at Bristol was about to begin when we took to the first green flag on the night, and it is definitely a battle that you're going to have to survive through 225 laps. 50 down, so just shy 1/4 distance from Bristol. Again, these races do not take that long as far as sheer time-wise, but the more time you spend suspend pace, and I think the little bit more insane you go from behind the wheel, just wanting to be able to get up and get going, especially if you're somebody like Farinars, who has had the tire advantage and has been now kind of stonewalled by 2 quick yellows that have not allowed you to do anything. He'll be on the inside. Let's see what happens, though. Front row this time. Kalisto's back down on the bottom. Casto was very good top side last time, and we'll see if the 67 is going to be able to wind it up and get another good jump. It is a decent one, but not the same. The 97 of Kalisto will clear for the race lead to turn 1.
Yeah, now Casto's got to do his best to hold off that 90 of Daniel Eberhardt, which he does for the moment, but look who's just behind Eberhardt, that 88 of Farinars, who has done really well at working his way back up on fresher tires. Kalisto, Casto, Eberhardt, and Preet, some of your drivers who have still yet to pit and keep up front right now. Farinars getting held up on the bottom by that 90 of Eberhardt. That's going to allow Preet, Casto, maybe even Ward to try to get by here, as there was almost contact between the 90 and 37 there. That's going to be Daniel Eberhardt and Spencer Preet, as Lionel Kalisto is looking to just be gone, as he is slowly but surely opening up a sizable gap on these drivers going side by side.
And that's the goal. The 90 machine of Eberhardt's on the apron. This is not going to end well into turn 1. What a save by Eberhardt. Looked like that car was lined up to torpedo the corner. Got out of the gas enough. Everybody moved up the racetrack, and somehow this race is still in the green flag conditions, as Daniel Eberhardt with a fantastic save. He'll drop to 14th, but the fact he's still in this race is remarkable. Great piece of driving by him and everybody around him.
Yeah, just a bit of contact between him and Spencer Preet. They were side by side for a while, Evan, and when push comes to shove, he got shoved down to that apron and just prayed that he could hold on to it, and luckily he did. As you see the replay go up on your screen, you can just see that there's contact between him and the 37. He drives it down, and what an incredible piece of driving by that 90 of Eberhardt to hold on to it. As we look back up front now to Jeff Ward and Spencer Preet side by side for third place, as Casto and Kalisto single filed out. Kalisto doing his best to keep those drivers just where they're at and at a sizable distance here tonight, Evan.
It's pretty easy to take a quick glance at those first 2 names and get it mixed up, but it is Lionel Kalisto first, Sean Casto in second. Look at the 80 Donovich did a Jeff Ward with the fresh tires as well. He's stormed up and passed to Andrew Farinars and now leads that charge of the fresh tires, although the 89 is pinned down on that lower line. The fresh tires don't have as much of an advantage right now as they did on that first run right after they got them, so it is going to be substantially more difficult to pass Casto, and Preet, I'm sure, don't want to go anywhere. Look at the 88 machine thinking about some 3 wide tight quarters. That time down the back straightaway, but the 89's committed to the bottom, and you can see the 80 Farinars really boxed out, has nowhere to go, and he's trying to get creative to find a way through. Now he jumps back up top.
Yeah, when you get boxed in like Farinars was, you just look for a moment to create your own line, and that's exactly what he was doing. He was trying to go up towards the middle of the track, and he's still kind of floating there just in case these two part ways and give him that opening that he needs to. He doesn't want to give up that middle line and maybe even look to the low line now, and he does. Is he going to get there? No. Jeff Ward not going to allow him the lane, or he allowed him the lane, just did not have the run to get there, as Jeff Ward trying to make his way by Preet, and now look up to get side by side with your second place driver, Sean Casto.
Absolutely, the definition of a logjam here from second on back, because this is what I expect to see mid-pack. You know, battles of 3-4 cars here and there that can't get away from each other. But on that very first run of the race, the top 5 had no issues finding space. They were able to spread things out. They got single file amongst the top 6 or 7 cars or so, and they just can't do that right now. Unresolved issues that might be sorting themselves out, as Jeff Ward has finally broken through to second. And look for the 88 of Farinars. If he can stay in front of Casto right here, he will. That's going to be a big step for those two. It took a lot of trying, but they finally broke through that group of Casto, Preet, Guerrilla, and DeMerchant, and now they've got an opportunity to maybe travel up there, fight for the race lead if they're not too busy fighting with each other.
Yeah, these two have not been able to separate themselves all night, Evan. Jeff Ward, Andrew Freenars have been really close throughout the entire night, and you can tell Freenars trying everything he can to get by him because he'll drive super hard on exit, and we see him get a little bit loose from time to time, but just look at the closing rate that those tires have on Lionel Callisto, who is on older tires. As soon as they cleared that 67 Acasto, they immediately closed up to that 97, and now it's going to be a three-car battle for the lead. You can see Ward and Freenars both look to the bottom lane. Are they going to be able to stick it? No. Look at Callisto get that huge run off of 3 and 4, but I think it's only a matter of time before those tires catch up to that 97.
And there's no doubt that the 97 is not going to obviously give up that lane. He likes it up top. He's going to run up top. He smacks the wall there, though, and it's going to cost him enough time that Callisto is going to lose the race lead. Jeff Ward to the point. Lap number 69. Freenars is going to follow him through, and I would expect Guerrilla to do the same here in just a moment. So the 97 did everything he could. He was very aware, though, of the challenges that being on the other end of that tire strategy would present, and I don't see him being able to match the speed of Ward and the 88 of Freenars as they battle for the race lead in their own right now, side by side, leading on a really slingshotted off of the quarter to win at the line.
Yeah, and this is what we've seen all night, and now we're back to where they are battling for the lead constantly side by side. We see just how crucial that outside line is. You can see the 88 of Freenars almost clear him every time off of 4, but like you mentioned, that slingshot that he gets from the momentum on the high side is just too much for him to clear, and now he does. Freenars clears the 89 of Jeff Ward for the moment and takes that lead and continues. Meanwhile, just behind them, Guerrilla just gets by Callisto, so maybe look for that 17 to try and make his way up there and spoil the party, but look at Freenars already starting to pull a gap on that 89.
And that's the key. Just get a little bit of separation here and there, and gives yourself some breathing room, if you will. 74 laps in the works from Bristol. Freenars, Ward, Guerrilla, Callisto, and Silver. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on track at the moment. Maybe going to have a fight for 4th here as Silver goes down low on Callisto. And the Jim Beam Ford is going to lose out in another one as Silver jumps up to P4.
Yeah, those tires are just starting to catch up. When you get on the long green flag run like we are shaping up to have here, Evan, those tires just eat at you, and once you get those tires, those guys with fresher tires on there, you are just going to be you're just gonna start falling. Meanwhile, back in the pack a little bit, there's a bit of a log jam like we've mentioned before. The 1 of Daniel Falkingham, the 8 of Kyle Kammer, and that 90 of Daniel Eberhardt, who had amazing save, just trying to work his way back up to the field once again.
Yeah, this all of the action now no longer in that fight for 2nd. It's transitioned back to 8th or so out of back. Casto 7th, Preet in 8th, and the likes of Falkingham and Eberhardt all duking it out right now. The 98 machine is back here as well, although that one is not for position. David Washington is the lone driver 1 lap down. So when you see the black and white 98 Ford of Washington, he is 33rd on track. Basically what he's doing right now is finding to be the only car down a lap so he could get the lucky dog. If we were to get a yellow, problem with that strategy, if there's any racetrack where you get a lot of lapped cars in a way, Chris, it's Bristol. Freenars is going to be catching up to the back of the pack here sooner rather than later, and as soon as he puts Drew Adams in a lap down, who right now runs in 32nd spot, Washington would no longer be in the lucky dog position.
You're exactly right. So it's going to definitely get interesting here in the next few laps. 1, to see how Freenars navigates traffic versus Jeff Ward, and to see that lap, that free pass lap get transferred between drivers. Lap traffic can be a help or a hurt depending on where you're looking at it on the track, and Freenars is just probably hoping and praying that he can get by these guys as quickly as possible, working right now on the 82 and quickly gets by him. So it'll be interesting to see if Jeff Ward gets the same favor, because sometimes we'll see, you know, the leader fight lap traffic a little bit more because they don't want to go that lap down, Evan, but then when it comes to the 2nd place driver, they lay over a little bit more. We'll see if that happens here tonight at Bristol.
It is definitely a pace in this race with ebbs and flows, and it's going to be a progressive and a fluid situation as the night goes on. Fight may be due up for third here. We mentioned Nick Silver, and it passed up Lionel Callisto a couple of laps ago for fourth. He has bridged what was a 1.4 second difference from that battle for fourth to third, and he is now all over the back end of Michael Guerrilla. The 17, though, has definitely seen better days. Back end damage, left-hand side damage as well. Definitely looks like a race car that has been racing on Bristol for 85 laps or so. And look at the 24 machine hang back to set him up. What a move. That time in two, he went high while the 17 protected, used that run off the corner to get to the inside of the racetrack. It was a very smart decision by the 24. He just has to execute now, but Silver definitely trying to make something cook. Can't get it that time, but he is not going to back off, still within a car length.
Yeah, Guerrilla just holding on, like you mentioned, with the bit of the cosmetic damage, could be messing with the aero, making him maybe a little bit slower on the straights, where we see him a little bit dented up on the side. So you know, that's just Bristol. You took the words right out of my mouth there, Evan. You know, if your fenders aren't bent, then you're not racing hard enough here. And I think Guerrilla is a true testament to that, because riding around in third, holding off Nick Silver for the moment. He's had a great run here tonight, from 28th to 3rd, might I add.
Yeah, definitely the biggest mover, the hard charger so far. That's up 25 positions so far to this point. There's a fight going on in front of Guerrilla. Again, we talked about the lap traffic. That is a fight for position between the 23 Rod Flag and the 82 of Drew Adamson, but they are a lap down, and it's going to be a factor on the battle for the lead lap position between 4th and 5th, or rather 3rd and 4th on track, excuse me, with Guerrilla and Silver. They're going to split the difference. They'll pass Adamson high, they'll pass Flag low, and the 24 a little bit brave that time, coming off of the corner, getting awfully close to Rod Flag's Toyota to stay there with Guerrilla. This is only going to get worse the longer you work into a green flag run.
It is, and you weren't too far off with the battle for 5th, because it's shaping up between Callisto and Seth the Merchant. The Merchant on the low side with the 97 of Callisto, still committed to that high line, trying to make it work, trying to keep those tires on the car and just use them as best as he can, as now the 57 of Seth the Merchant still looks to the inside. Not going to be quite clear, but they're going to run to the same problem that Silver and Guerrilla had. These lap traffic cars so closing in, or they're closing in on them, should I say.
Yeah, and you know, for Enars, this is where
82 gets a little bit loose, going right in front of Callisto and the Merchant. Crazy save by that 82 on the apron.
That's exactly what you got to watch out for. And Callisto checked up a little bit. It allows the Merchant to go to the inside of the racetrack. First time we've really talked a little bit about the Peterson Irrigation entry, who has been able to accumulate some solid finishes, but is still looking for a trip to victory lane this year in this Full Throttle Racing Cup Series. He'll pass Callisto on the inside up to a race high P5. Callisto now down to the number 6 spot on the racetrack. It's the lowest he's been, I think, aside from obviously when he came down pit road, dropped to about 9th at the lowest. The point I was going to make, though, with Faridars, and we're talking about all this lap traffic, Chris, is the gap he's got right now on Jeff Ward, 2.8 seconds. When we saw Silver aggressively tailing Guerrilla through lap traffic, he put himself in a risky position, awfully close with those lap cars coming off of a corner, because they didn't want the 17 to get away. Farinars working a nearly 2+ second gap. He doesn't have to take those risks. So if you look at the 88 machine right now, there's a lot of lap traffic in front of him. Ross, Ryan, Cozy, and Ewing all lined up. The 88 machine has the luxury of taking it a little bit easier and making those smarter decisions. He'll have to sacrifice some of that gap, but I think safe and the steady way around might be the better option.
It is way too early to be forcing things and bumping lap cars out of the way. If I'm Farinars right now, I'd just be taking it easy, a nice Monday night drive, so to speak, for that 88 machine. You might sacrifice a little bit of the gap, but you don't want to be too aggressive. We only have completed 99 laps. We are going to complete coming by this time, so that 88 just needs to ride around and maybe hope to come down green flag pit stops here in a little soon, and just keep on clicking away at these laps.
The ultimate objective right now, Andrew Friedars is going to complete lap number 100 from Bristol Motor Speedway. It also means he just took 125 laps to go. Not far from halfway home. When we get to that point, we'll take a quick recap top to bottom and take a look at our iRace to midway race break. Not quite at that point yet. You're on with 22 of the 36 cars who started this race still on the lead lap, and it's always difficult with your eyes darting back and forth, Chris, seeing Friedars thinking he's in a battle for the race lead, and it's all these lapped cars in front of him. Tiller and Ewing are really being aggressive in a fight for third or the 21st position on track, and the 88 again is caught up in the middle of this, just trying to say, hey, excuse me guys, tiptoe on through, and Tiller's bounced off the wall a couple of times, but the 88 of Friedars will sneak by him, all while maintaining the 2.8 second gap, which I think is the most important thing.
The most important thing to keep is to keep extending that gap while working your way through traffic. Meanwhile, no traffic in sight for the battle for third. That's Guerrilla and Nick Silver. You can see Silver trying everything he can while there's a free track in front of him to try the lane. He was on the high side in turn 1 and 2. Now he goes to the low side in 3 and 4, trying everything he can to get by that 17 while he does not have to worry about the lap traffic. So look for Nick Silver to maybe be a little bit more aggressive here before they catch these next batch of lap cars, trying to get that third place from Mike Guerrilla.
If you can get it away from Guerrilla, Guerrilla is still barely hanging on in front of Nick Silver. These two have been going at it for quite some time. I think it might be one of the more sustained battles we've seen on track. Good fight a little bit further back for 9th right now. Spencer Preet trying to play defense on the 11 of Dylan Jones. Jones on the inside trying, and now we'll complete that pass. So we are going to swap around 9th and 10th on track.
9th and 10th swap. This is where we start to see tires become a real factor when we get into this long green flag run. Speaking of tires, Daniel Eberhardt, who we saw have that crazy spin up towards the top 5, is now clicking away and slowly catching Dylan Jones in that 11 right now. Eberhardt getting held up by a battle between the 98, the 23, and the 37. 37 of Preet is a car just in front of Eberhardt. So Eberhardt doing a great job of rebounding as you see him go 3 wide to get by the lap traffic. He's doing a great job as we see him get loose out of 4 there at really controlling those tires and bouncing back.
That's the thing, is you have to take care of the equipment, and you can get away with some damage here at a place like Bristol. It's not a Daytona, it's not a Talladega, and a caution flag is going to come out right in front of your race leader. Friedars has to dive out of the way as Austin Coop's number 6 Toyota was the one involved in the accident on the front straightaway. Contact between he and a lapped car, Rod Flag, a lap down, bounced off of the outside wall, came down and tagged your 12th place runner on track. And Austin Coop backs that car pretty hard into the outside wall. And the best thing that he did there was simply hold on the brake, hold it still. And very shortly after, the dust hadn't even settled at that point, and Friedars, your race leader, came by. So an uncomfortably close call, but it slows us down for the caution, shy of halfway. And Chris, now it's going to be wholesale pit stops for everybody.
Yeah, pit road is going to be the busiest it's been all night. So it just goes to show how things can quickly change and how strategy can flip-flop from time to time here at Bristol. But all these guys are going to be looking to put 4 fresh Goodyears on the car and get back out there and try to make the most of these fresh tires.
In and out for the 88 machine of Friedars. The good news for him is pit road opened right away, so he still had a significant gap when he came down to pit road, and he is going to be the first driver in and the first driver out. This is going to mark the halfway point in this race. We will hold off, though, until pit stops cycle through. I'm sure a lot of the positions are going to change up here in the next lap or two as drivers begin to gain or lose a couple of spots here and there. And, of course, a lot of drivers who need a pit from a lap down just now getting the opportunity for pit road to open. But, Chris, a lot of drivers staying out as well. Nearly half a dozen cars neglect to pit to get a wave around to rejoin the lead lap.
Yeah, and also talking about pit stops, mistakes can happen, especially at Bristol where you're pitting on the front stretch and the back stretch. It can play in your head. You can miss your box and mess up on the pit road. A driver that's done that, that's been up towards the front all day here, Evan, that 89, I should say, of Jeff Ward messing up the pit road, and that's definitely what you do not want to have happen, especially at Bristol, where one bad pit stop can put you laps down, can put you way back in the pack to where you're just fighting an uphill battle for the rest of the night.
You can see all those wave around cars stacked up in front of Farinars. Farinars is going to be your race leader when this one goes back into green flag conditions. But you see Mike Taylor, Ross Cato, James Ross, Michael Cozy Jr., Tommy Ryan, and Harry Tiller. So that is the congregation of 6 drivers, that half dozen I was talking about, that are looking for a wave by to get themselves back onto the lead lap. They'll occupy 19th through 24th position on the racetrack. Drivers still stuck a lap down, 25th through 30th, who decided to not stay out. They did come down for service. It'll be Austin Coop, Drew Adamson, Braden Whitaker, David Washington, AJ Browning, and Andrew T. Jones, the drivers who are going to remain stuck a lap down and, well, getting waved by the pace car this time. Lights out. We get set to do it again. Longest green flag run of the night brings us past halfway. At this point on, we start counting down with 110 to go at the green.
110 to go. That means a lot of these drivers who are sitting maybe 16th on back really need to start working their way to the front, or you're just not going to be able to get up there. It might just be a race as we get for the top 5, top 10 as we get ready to go back green.
Green flag is going to fly. Faridar's picture perfect on a restart, and he'll lead back off to turn number 1. He has jacked out about a couple of car lengths in front of Nick Silver, who's right there in the number 2 position. Seth the Merchant in 3rd is going to drop a spot. How about Michael Guerrilla taking a +1 on the restart?
Yeah, Mike Guerrilla just trying everything he can with that damaged race car to stick up front, be up in the front. We've always mentioned, we have mentioned previously that he is the biggest mover, 28th to 3rd, so definitely not a bad day for this 17 machine. Nick Silver able to go around him for 2nd. Jeff Ward, who we mentioned about messing up the pit road aspect of tonight's race, sitting back in 5th, wasting no time trying to get around that 57 of Seth the Merchant. As you see that 89 quickly dive to the bottom, just trying to make that bottom line work. Not going to be enough as the outside line prevails. The 57 of Seth the Merchant doing a great job of holding off that 89.
And hold it off the 89's the objective. He's done it so far. Good news for, you know, the likes of Guerrilla and such is now they're on even keel with the likes of Jeff Ward, Faridars, the drivers who were storming the field earlier on in a couple of those runs with the tire benefit. Now we hit the reset button. That was a long enough run that everybody agreed that pit stops were necessary, wholesale changes, and now we're back to square one. It's no longer a 225 lap race. It is a 110 lap race. There's no tire benefits this way or that way. Looking Ward, though, try to make a move, but a move for the 57 to Merchant would be a fight between 4th or 5th. Thought about it, looked to the inside, reconsidered, and stays single file for the time being, but he's definitely close enough that the Merchant, I'm sure, is keeping his eyes closely affixed to the rearview mirror.
Yeah, and that's what you have to do sometimes here at Bristol, is just use that mirror to drive the car, but you definitely don't want to look at it too long or you're going to start driving backwards. Meanwhile, a driver that should be glad that we're back on square one, that 88 of Andrew Freenars quickly working his way through lap traffic. I think the fastest we've caught, I should say, lap traffic here tonight. Now it just goes to show to see if he can do the same, replicate what he did on the last run, take his time, work his way through the lap traffic, and slowly extend that gap.
And can't forget how valuable the information learned was, as you see your race leader is already mixing it up with a lot of those lap cars, Guerrilla and DeMerchant. Going to work by the lap machines of Cozy and Cato, and they're going to try to stay up and out of the way, but it looks like one big pack. Caution flag is out, though, and some smoke on the front straightaway. One car facing the wrong way, and it is Dwayne Vincent, driver who was running in the top 15, and there is a lot damage on that car. Can't even identify what kind of a car it was because of the damage it was. A Chevrolet at the start of it all. And Dwayne Vincent going to be caught up in the mess of Shane Parrish, who had a little bit of assistance. The LSRTV replay will make that one quite evident. I'm not sure if David Washington had committed yet to making that move, but Washington's a lap car, Chris, so I think you have to give a little bit more space to those lead lap cars, even if you do maybe have fresher tires. And the 98, not sure if he wanted to tuck and lawn or if he was trying to go low, but just hit the 18 in the left rear. It was the slightest bit of contact I think you could possibly have, and David did everything he could to stay off of him by locking up the brakes and all that, but once you take that shot in the left rear, you can't take it back, and that's what brings out the caution.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I was talking to our producer Cisco under the brake. It's just when those cars are unloading that fast out of the corner and you get the slightest bit of contact, which is what the 98 gave the 18 of Shane Parrish, it's going to send those cars around pretty quickly. So unfortunately for that 18, even more unfortunate for that 13 of Dwayne Vincent, because his day is pretty much over. That's a lot of front end damage. I don't know if he'll be able to come back out as the 88 pits here.
Yeah, and I'm surprised by that one. I know Farinars has been the one who's quick to pull the trigger on both of the early yellows in this race. He came down pit road, but with having such wholesale changes, Farinars does decide to pit. And we'll have to see where this cycles him out. He will go from the race lead down to 12th position. So not an insurmountable number. Again, when you only have 19 cars like we do right now currently running on the lead lap, things can only be so bad for you. You can only lose so many positions, but I don't see 11th place as being impossible for him to have to deal with, but it is going to give Nick Silver a free ticket to the race lead for the first time.
Nick Silver going to go towards the front as Andrew Freenars goes back to where he's been so comfortable and so fast at getting back through this field before, back towards the 12th position. So he has done it before in this race. I don't believe he'll have any problems doing it once again.
Now that we're past halfway, let's take this look at our iRacing Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game, with professionally sanctioned racing by the likes of NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Global Rallycross, and so many more. At lap 129, Nick Silver has taken over the race lead. He'll be trailed by Michael Guerrilla, Seth the Merchant, Jeff Warden, Sean Casto inside of the top 5. Lionel Kalisto's back in 6th. Daniel Falkingham is 7th. Brandon Bowie's at 8th. Dylan Jones falls to 9th. And Gabe Wood rounds out your top 10.
Eric Stanford 11th, our previous race leader, who just came down pit road. Andrew Freenars 12th, 13th, Daniel Everhart, Spencer Preet 14th, 15th, Galen Goodman, Shane Ewing 16th, Kyle Kammer 17th, 18th, Harry Tiller 19th, Tommy Ryan and Drew Adamson rounding out your top 20, and your first car one lap down.
And everybody else to 30th is going to be a lap down. That'll be James Ross, Shane Parrish, Dwayne Vincent, Michael Cozy Jr., Andrew Jones, Ross Cato, Braden Whitaker, AJ Browning, Austin Coop, and David Washington. All a lap down through 30th. Morano, Taylor, Chambliss, Flagg, Shed, and Brown round out your field through 36th position. So top to bottom, and your iRacing Midway Race Break. 95 laps to go from Bristol as we are inside of double digits from the end. Fantastic jump for Nick Silver. Adios as he takes off to turn 1, and he'll leave a fantastic fight for second behind him as Guerrilla leapfrogs to Merchant for P2. Back-to-back restarts with the 17s in the positive.
17 in the positive, slowly making his way up, maybe even going to be able to challenge that 24 of Nick Silver. Meanwhile, just behind those two, Seth the Merchant has to fend off the 89 of Jeff Warden, does so as a caution comes out.
Caution comes out. It's not problems up at the front of the field. It's further back. Andrew T. Jones, Harry Tiller. Looks like another car involved in that one. All the names we were just talking about towards the tail end of the lead lap are the ones involved in this, but it all started up high with the Jones green car of that Shane Parrish's entry. So they were all lapped cars in which it started with, and we made this point a couple of times. Even though our race leaders are trying to dispose of some of these fights, Chris, it might not be a battle for position with the lead lap cars, but they're definitely fighting for position with each other, and that was a fight for 26th gone wrong. You saw in the LSRTV replay, I think the 18 just drifted down a little bit too low, caught the 64, and another one of those cases where very minor contact, but once it happens, it's very difficult to recover from.
Yeah, and how about that 20 of AJ Browning there? Just, I mean, the 64 couldn't have got out of the way quick enough for that 20. Just, that's what you call squeaking by, just barely. I don't know if we'll be able to get an onboard of that, but the 64's back end literally pops right around as that 20 goes through. So almost really bad for that 20 of AJ Browning, who currently sits one lap down in 27th, but I think that's a lot better than a wrecked race car, Evan.
An unfortunate break for those drivers, and the sledgehammers on pit road going to get a little bit more use. And you know, I think that I'm still hesitant, I guess, to say that we're within that home stretch. Just the way that these races tend to flow is you get those yellows early, everybody's a little bit antsy trying to settle in, and then you're, of course, going to get those long green flag runs in the middle. You tend to get a lot of back-to-back yellows late. I still think we've got a green flag run left in this race with over 80 laps still to go to the end of this one. On that last restart, though, Nick Silver took over the race lead. See if we can get a very quick word with the driver of the 24 on the radio. Nick, you got a copy?
I got you.
You got that Kellogg's Cornflakes Ford out in front of the field right now. You guys have had a pretty sporty car all night long, and I think importantly, you're keeping that car clean. How you feeling right now?
I feel like we got a decent piece. Had a little bit of a setback, stayed out in old tires, probably shouldn't have, and got hit by the 88 a little bit, which sent us back even further, but since then we've been on the forward march.
Alluded to the next question I was going to get you with there. We saw the 88 of Faridars give up the race lead to go down and get tires. He has, I don't think, ever passed up an opportunity tonight so far to come down pit road and get the tires. He obviously sacrifices the track position for that advantage. You guys decided to maintain track position for the time being. As we get closer and closer to the end, though, is there a number in mind when you want to make that final pit stop, or is a lot of it determined by when these yellows fly?
It depends on the yellows. Probably looking at about 15 to 20 more laps of green, and then we'll probably be on pit road for maybe the last time.
Well, the lights just went out on the pace car, so we'll let you take off. Nick, we appreciate the word. Best of luck here.
Thank you, guys.
Race leader Nick Silver in the number 24 machine. Thanks for him for jumping on the radio with us. He'll be starting alongside with the 17 Michael Guerrilla, who is still trucking through with that damage. Let's see if the 17 machine can go 3-for. He has paid, or he's made up, I guess, positions on the last two restarts consecutively, 4th to 3rd, 3rd to 2nd, and he will try to make a play for the race leader for the first time tonight after starting in 28th position, nearly all the way at the back. It'll be a great jump for the 24 machine. Green flag back in the air. 17 eyes the top side, and he wants to make it a battle for the race lead, and he's going to get one. How about that drive by Michael Guerilla to go side by side? A yellow going to shut the door as it slows us right back down. Oh, it's a big mess on the back.
Oh my, a huge, like, I don't think you could fit a car through that mess if you wanted to. Everybody parked. Lionel Callisto, Austin Coop, a lot of drivers to name will have to see and back it up, see just where that wreck started from. It looks like it's going to be the 97 of Lionel Callisto and maybe the 1 of Falkingham coming out of 2. Just, you can see the 97 just up on top side of the 88. Just a little bit of a bump, like I mentioned, on unloading coming off the corner there. Evan just sent that car quickly around, and when you're coming out of the corner like that, you just have nowhere to go. Falkingham in it. The 11 of Jones barely squeaking by, but gets some back end damage, but just coming through. The 14, the 77, the 6, all these drivers just piled in. You can see a lot of drivers in the back just coming through and coming to a complete stop, just nowhere to go in that situation.
A big incident that started inside of the top 10. Going to take a little bit to clean up, so we'll take another opportunity to catch a break. And we'll be back for the restart in a moment. Nick Silver once again, though, in the 24 machine, not headed down pit road. He'll bring us back to the green flag as we get later and later on from Bristol. You're watching the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series powered by English Auto LLC on LSRTV and iRacing Live.
actually, you know, really enjoy dirt racing. Feels good to get in the car, and we have, you know, great cars and engines and things at KKR, so it's nice to drive a fast sprint car.
Couple of separate lines developing, three wide action on a turn 2. Craig Kinzer, Casey Kane, and Kieran Pittman going at it.
I think the differences between, you know, NASCAR and the sprint races on dirt is just a much different mindset. The way you drive your cars, the setup, the feel you're looking for. I think one of the hardest things to tell as a fan is when you're watching a race, whether it's a NASCAR race, a dirt race, is just what's really going on in the car. With iRacing, you can get the way that the track's changing, which they've done a great job in how the track changes throughout the night or throughout the race, just to try to capture it and let the fans play it and realize, like, man, there's actually a lot going on, and you can't always see that when you watch a race. So I think it's pretty neat. It's, you know, enjoyable for me, but at the end of the day, it's actually much of a simulation, and there's a lot of ways that you can learn from that. And, you know, early on, it was neat to look at the Cup tracks that I was going to, places that
Lights out on top of the iRacing.com pace car. We will put 143 laps behind us this time by. Get ever so closer to the home stretch tonight for the Bristol Motor Speedway. Nick Silver currently leading round 6 of the Full Throttle Real Estate Racing Cup Series powered by English Auto L.L.C. Michael Guerrilla was taking it to him last time, and just as the pace car was about to head back down to the pit lane, light's going to come back on, so we'll do one more lap around and try it again. Gives us an opportunity, though, to set up this scenario, and on that last run, that 17 to Guerrilla didn't have the greatest of starts, but he was very aggressive at pinching a little bit, going down into 1 and 2, was able to keep it on to the outside of Silver, and we were fixing to have a fantastic battle for the race lead until carnage broke out on the back straightaway after contact between the 6th and 7th place cars. So Guerrilla going to get another shot at it. Nick Silver, though, knows what the 17 is going to bring. Do not be surprised if the 2-4 wants to go up and protect that preferred outside line ASAP, as they head back off into the corner, and lights will come back on one more time as some of the drivers at the back of the pack really struggling to find their spot in line.
Yeah, drivers really struggling to find their line. Michael Guerrilla doing a great job at really capitalizing on all these mistakes. That last caution, or that last restart I should say, was very weird in how it played out, because Nick Silver definitely got the jump on Michael Guerrilla, but looked like there was a little bit of wheel spin towards the end of the front straightaway, what allowed Guerrilla to get so aggressive down there, and then it was really cut short by that parking lot incident we had to bring out this caution. So now, as race control looks to have everything sorted up, lights are off on the pace car, looks like we might go green this time by.
Well, you know what they say, third time's the charm, so we'll see if the pace car does get in this time. It is exactly going to be 80 laps left to go on the board for the last great Coliseum. Guerrilla tries to anticipate the start, and it does not work. Nick Silver plays him for a fool, hangs back, puts the right foot down, and he is gone. The fun will be for second behind. Jeff Ward trying to sneak into the mix. Can't get the drive off for the corner. Guerrilla defends.
Guerrilla did a great job at bouncing back there. Evan holding off Jeff Ward. Now Jeff Ward has to hold off the 57 of Seth the Merchant, trying to use that very high line almost up towards the wall, but he's gonna have to really now battle that 43 of Brandon Bowie. How about that 43 machine, Evan? 30th to 5th. We're seeing a lot of these drivers come from the back towards the front, and the 43 is just another one of them.
It's exactly the case, just another one to get out of the way, and another driver en route here as Bowie works on the inside. We've had a couple of drivers have fantastic nights, and you know, I've seen that purple and blue 43 machine of Bowie up there a couple of times tonight, Chris. Surprised though that we haven't talked much about him with the amount of yellows we've seen though, and the scale of a couple of these wrecks. That might not be the worst thing in the world, because he's gone 30th to 6th, not quite the same gain that Michael Guerrilla has gone 28th to 2nd, but he's right there in the hard charger mix, and definitely doesn't look like a race car that's only 30th fastest. He is right in here trying to break top 5.
He is, and he might get towards that top 5 position. He's working on that 90 of Daniel Eberhardt. Meanwhile, in front of them, 89 of Jeff Ward. Michael Grillia doing battle, but going to be cut short once again as the yellow flag flies.
Another incident looks like with Harry Tiller involved. The 69 machine is around. He's had a rough go at it. I guess fortunately for him, maybe unfortunately for the drivers who are running behind or in front of him or so. One of the pieces of sheet metal that's still on that car is the face on the hood of it. But the 69 machine gets helped around on that. Will look like the 97 of Kalisto got a little bit tight, tagged him in the left rear quarter panel. Tiller goes for a slide, bounces off for the outside wall, and wow, the 99 machine, I was going to say, just got tagged by the 99, but I'm thinking Tommy Ryan might have avoided contact by some stroke of genius there, barely staying out of making that one a bigger wreck.
Yeah, barely squeaking by and avoiding the bigger wreck and the bigger mess there in that wreck. But how about this? Cars down pit road, including Jeff Ward, Nick Silver, and a few other drivers. To name a few, the 00 coming down, that's Gabe Wood, 57 of Seth the Merchant. So how about this now? We've seen him try to make it happen on the outside line, but Michael Grillia gonna get his shot to lead a few laps here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Or, no, I should not say, he came down.
Right, and the yellow flag is going to bring drivers down pit road. Nick Silver deciding to come down. We had an opportunity to talk with him and pick his brain a little bit on what he thought the strategy call was going to be to the end of this one. I think that is the right decision, though, to come down at this point. I'm not sure if it's going to be the last trip down to the pit lane. 75 laps or so, still plenty of time, and we saw even on short 15 to 20 lap runs how important fresh tires were, but that would more wholesale changes. But all the fast drivers, Grillia, DeMerchant, Ward, Eberhardt, they pit, but it is a significant shakeup now. Brandon Bowie, just talking about the driver that was trying to break top 5. He's now all the way up front. Bowie to the race lead. Farinar, Stanford, Preet, Jones, Kamer, and Ewing, along with Drew Adamson. And that looks like it. Top 8 drivers at a racetrack are the ones who stayed out.
Yeah, top 8 on the drive. Top 8 gonna stay out. Brandon Bowie gonna be on the point, but that's gonna be a tall task, especially with the driver who will be starting on his outside, Evan Andrew Freenars. We've seen him come to the back, come from mid-pack, I should say, to the front multiple times on those fresh tires. Now he is going to be staying out and move himself back up into the 2nd place position. How about Eric Stanford? Haven't really mentioned that 19 machine a lot. Started 9th up to 3rd, just trying to make his way through this one, as Brandon Bowie is as well, 30th to 1st. Now he will take over that hard charger position.
Assumes that spot. Some tells me, though, we're pretty far from over in this race as the lights go out on top of the pace car. All those wave rounds getting sent by. Trying to get caught up to the back end of the lead pack here before this one comes back around to restart. Looks like everybody up front, though, has gotten themselves in the correct double file position, with Bowie deciding, to choose the inside for this restart. And that'll put the 88 of Friedars in a position that he could make something happen. Up top, you just have to again be able to successfully predict when that control car is going to go. So pace car down and in. Brandon Bowie's first opportunity to bring us to a green flag this evening. We'll see what the Commodore's machine decides to go with. Very late start, but it's a good one. As we go back at green flag racing conditions, Bowie going to defend the race lead. Farinar safely in 2nd, but a very bad start. Looks like the 19 machine's the one going backwards. That's Eric Sanford with a lot of damage.
Yeah, stacked up the inside line pretty bad, Evan. Right now you see the top 3, they all started on that top side. Now you can see Freenars move to the bottom, try to take that position from the 43 of Bowie. Bowie does a great job at holding on the outside, trying to take that momentum away from the 88, and he's doing so right now. They're pretty even coming off of 4, but that momentum on the high side is just going to keep Freenars from clearing that 43. The 43 is doing a great job at getting off the corners really well, and especially when he needs to keep that nose and to keep that car out in front of Freenars.
That's the objective, obviously defend that track position, but Farinars is very aggressive. Made a move to the inside, but I don't think he's set up enough for that one. He didn't really take an arc into the corner. That one a much better dive down. And again, no problem getting side by side with Bowie in the center, but it's that outside line exit that makes it such a great place to be, and it's going to be very difficult for Farinars to overcome that disadvantage, with it, of course, maybe a mistake from Bowie.
Yeah, and what do you do if you're Spencer Preet right now in that 37 machine? Because you see Farinars and Bowie holding on and side by side now. Farinars going to fall back in line, maybe reassess the situation, and now look toward the inside. But if you're the 37 of Preet right now, I'm just letting them go and letting them burn off the tires, letting them go as hard as they can. If there's a mistake, you capitalize, but you got to be careful about how close you get to this mix, especially when you get into some contact with these drivers.
Kamer right now in fourth, leads the group of side by side battles. Really fourth on the back, looks like they were when we were coming through 3 and 4 on the restart. Kamer outside on Jones, that's for 4th and 5th. Side by side for 6th and 7th. And then a side by side fight for 8th and 9th position. These guys have not gotten away from anybody at all. In fact, probably the tightest we've seen it. They're going to have to slow them down now. Yellow flag is out. The 48 of Tom Morano's around.
Yeah, and I saw a car stopped on the bottom as that pack was going by. We're going to try to get your LSRTV replay up to see what happened to that 48 machine of Tom Morano. Just looked like he may have... He was stuck there for a while on the bottom side. Looks like he just got on the apron. Don't really know what happened, but he got off the corner, and I guess it just turned it around into the barrels, and he was stuck there. And when he tried to get it back going, just pulled up on track, brought out the yellow flag. So unfortunate for that 48 machine.
A tough break slows things down. Immediately we get a yellow. The first thing I think is, all right, who's coming down pit road for service? Bowie, though, wants to stay out. Consecutive times. Farinars, no shocker here, came down pit road, wanted the tires. He's taken them every chance he's gotten tonight.
Yeah, Farinars wastes 0 time to go in there and get 4 fresh tires, and it's really worked out for him because every time he's went back there and got tires, he's been able to work his way right back towards the front. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get the lead from Brandon Bowie, so maybe fresh tires will be the answer for that 88 machine. He's going to drop back a few positions and try to work forward.
To pick away at things, so once again a yellow will shuffle up the running order. Bowie does not change. He is going to stay out front, and maybe he thinks the best kind of a remedy for not having fresh tires is having clean air. It seems like clean air likes to always solve one's problems, especially as we get later on in this race. You have to think the opportunity to get some 10, 15, 20 lap runs in, be able to make up some significant time with those tires is going to drop substantially. Obviously, the fresh tires by Farinars are going to be something to watch out for. He's in P8, which again, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the concept of pitting every time, but because of the fact that it is Bristol, Chris, and you're running with a little bit more than half of the cars who started this race still on the lead lap, but it's a 21, the number as the last time by. I think 8 is doable for Farinars. The problem is he needs to get enough green flag laps in. He can get up to 4th position, but if a yellow comes out when he's in 4th and he just comes down and gets more tires, he's never making that extra step. So this, I think, a little bit at least, hangs on the fact that Farinars is going to hope that we get some green flag laps in here to be able to do something with those new Goodyear Eagles.
Yeah, he's been able to show that he has the speed and he's able to go from the mid pack to the front. He did it from 12th the last time around, so 8th definitely going to be doable, but he can't afford to keep doing this every time, because one time his luck is going to run out. There's going to be a few cautions and he's going to be right on pace with all these other guys trying to fight his way in an uphill battle. As lights are off on the pace car this time, going to double him up. Brandon Bowie going to lead him down. Spencer Preet, Nick Silver, Daniel Eberhardt, and Jeff Ward. That's your top 5 as they run right now. Going to be looking for Brandon Bowie to get another excellent start like he did the last time around. Maybe hold off that 37 of Spencer Preet.
Doubled up, late race restart at Bristol. Get used to saying that a couple of times. We are far from over at the last great Coliseum. Look for the 43 of Bowie to bring us back to the green flag. He takes it very slow once more, and it works out for him as he'll lead to turn one. A lot of tire spin for Spencer Preet. The 30, rather the 90 machine of Eberhardt really had to check up. I thought that was going to open up the door for Nick Silver. Can't get it done, though, side by side for second.
Yeah, Silver trying to just keep that car clean, not really force anything. Now he's got to battle that 90 of Daniel Eberhardt. Eberhardt gets blocked by the 37 of Preet. Bowie's got to be loving this out of his back bumper. Meanwhile, look just behind Eberhardt in Silver. That 88 machine of Andrew Freenars using those 4 fresh Goodyears to his advantage, trying to make a hole wherever that car will fit. Right now, he's chose to stay behind that 57 of Seth the Merchant, and it's worked out for that 88. The 88 really making his way up through the field, going to pass Nick Silver this time. Now work on that 57. Meanwhile, Bowie getting a little bit of comfort from that 37 of Spencer Preet, who fell to tire spin on the last restart.
Tire spin, something that we haven't really talked, in all honesty, that much about tonight from Bristol, but it is definitely a factor, especially when you have those slower restarts, which Brandon Bowie seems to be a fan of. The 43 machine still leads over the 37 of Spencer Preet. Daniel Eberhardt's third, and a fight there in the mix, though. The 88 of Freenars has gotten halfway to the front on the fresh tires. He's in 4th position. Eberhardt, though, didn't want to sit around either. He steps out of line. That might bite him if the 88 gets up top on him.
Yeah, you definitely do not want to let that 88 of Andrew Freenars on the top side make him work for it, and that's what Eberhardt realizes. He quickly goes up to the top, makes the 88 of Freenars go down low. Freenars getting a little bit free off of 4 from time to time here in these few laps, that he's really pushing those tires really hard, which could come back to bite him later. Yes, 4 fresh tires are good now. Right now, as he battles with the 37 of Spencer Preet, gets really close, almost contact with that 37 machine. So now he's going to be side by side for the lead. Brandon Bowie doing a great job using the outside lane directly for what it's intended for. That momentum on the top side carrying that 43 around, and we're back to seeing what we saw on the last caution. That 88 of Andrew Freenars and Brandon Bowie doing battle, but right now I think it's going to be Andrew Freenars, and he does get it as a caution comes out.
Just in the nick of time, race lead as the yellow flag flies. Looks like the problems are with the 4 of Braden Whitaker, who's doing a good job of doing some burnouts at a banking in 1 and 2, but not a good job of getting out of the way. Your race leaders are going to have to sneak on by. The banking's so steep here at Bristol that he just wasn't able to go anywhere. It was just spinning those rear tires and burning rubber as he tried to get out of the way. Whitaker actually going to be an innocent victim in all of this. It was the 98 of David Washington who got hip checked by a loose Drew Adamson machine, and the 98 machine torpedoed by that number 98 machine, came up, tagged the 4, and that's where we saw Braden Whitaker around. So another racing deal. We alluded to it a little bit at the beginning of the night, that coming off of the quarter, these cars are going to be very free and very much a handful, difficult to get complete control of, and I think that point has been validated more than a few times tonight, Chris.
It has, and now we see drivers come down pit road. We saw Eberhardt, Silver, a bunch of other drivers, the Merchant going to come down, but a driver that puzzles me of why they did not go down pit road, that 43 of Brandon Bowie. Maybe he knows something we don't hear of him, but I would think after you see what Andrew Freenars did on 4 fresh Goodyear tires, that you would want some of that, go down pit road and try to get some, especially with these laps ticking down. You definitely want 4 fresh tires when we get down to the thick of things, which I think we're starting to enter that time frame here in a few laps, Evan. But I mean, the 43 sticking out, maybe a good move, maybe a bad move, maybe he sees some cautions on the rise.
Well, and this goes back to the point that I made at about lap 135 or so, that I wasn't willing to commit yet to say that we were within that home stretch. Again, a middle portion of the race, things open up a little bit, you get some longer green flag runs, but it always seems once you get that yellow towards the end, you just can't break out of that slump, because everybody's thinking this might be the last restart, I got to get up on the wheel and get after it, and it kind of seems like that happened a little bit earlier than you would typically expect, although to be fair, for Bristol Motor Speedway standards, maybe it wasn't that out of the ordinary. We are close to the end of this one, inside of 50 laps to go in tonight's Bristol 225, the 6th race on this 2018 Full Throttle Real Estate Racing Cup Series, powered by English Auto L.L.C. campaign. And as always, coverage of the Full Throttle Real Estate Racing Cup Series is brought to you by Joel Real Timing, the official timing software of LSRTV. Whether you spend your time on the sim, behind the wheel, on the pit box, or from the spotter stand, JRT is your go-to software for iRacing timing and scoring analytics. You can get yourself the basic downloaded for free or buy the full pro version today by logging on to joel-real-timing.com. For more information, lights out. We get set to do it again. Speaking of JRT, as always, you can take a look at the full running order going across the top of your screen.
Yeah, full running order. We're going to scroll across. Freenar is your leader, Brandon Bowie in second, and Dylan Jones your top 3. Freenar did a great job at moving his way up towards the front of the pack, and we'll look to see him really open up that gap, as we've got a good gap to drivers who pit. So maybe Freenar is looking for the run that he needs, maybe hoping for green flag laps, that the green flag goes out this time by.
Green flag in the air. Freenar does a good job out front, and he broke out of that slump that I had mentioned. You gain a few spots, you get a yellow, you pit again. He wants the track position now. Maybe Freenar's making the call that this is the run to the end of this race. He's out in front of Jones, who's able to slide into second, courtesy of a little bit of late race pit strategy in this one. A ton of big movers. Dylan Jones in second, Brandon Bowie in third, and Michael Guerrilla in fourth, as they in fact fight for that third and fourth position right now. Those 3 drivers started outside of the top 25 combined, and they'll stay inside of the top 5. We've got another yellow. There's a couple of drivers around. Nick Silver, the 24 car leader in this race, not all that long ago, is caught up in it. It all started with the 67, Sean Castro, another driver who had been having a great night.
Yeah, it looks like the 98 gets in towards the back bumper of Sean Casto, down the back straightaway, sends him into the outside wall, and a bit of an accordion effect there with the 37 of Spencer Preet, the 89 of Jeff Ward, the 24 of Nick Silver getting the worst of that, as you mentioned, and then 99 spinning out, 13 of Dwayne Vincent, Lionel Quilisto, the 77, the 21, all these drivers getting involved. You see the 81 go up, snag the wall, trying to get by, so a little bit of a mess in 3 and 4, but everybody gets it turned around and back going, and just a huge mess here late in the going.
And I mean, just look at the back of that one. Talking about drivers who had some damage, I mean, Sean Casto's car was pristine up until that accident, and well, there's not much left of the 67 now, but I mean, he had really succeeded up until that point, staying out of trouble. It's exactly what you had to do. The onboard, you saw maybe a little bit of back-end damage, but I mean, that car was looking pretty good, all things considered, and that ties back in with what we were talking about earlier on, Chris. The objective at Bristol is to survive. Who cares if you're leading at lap 50? Who cares if you're leading at lap 220, to be honest? You got to be up front. The car's got to be in one piece come the end. And unfortunately, a lot of our fast drivers, people who've had great nights, are starting to drop out of this thing just on the doorstep of wrapping it up.
And you got to understand, in a driver's mindset, Evan, how frustrating that is, especially at a track like Bristol, where you're spending so much of your time, 180 laps, getting ready to be complete as we get ready to cross the line, and then coming down to it, and something that's just not in your control, it happens, and you plow into somebody, there's just nowhere to go on the racetrack, and your car is done, and then you're just so dejected from that feeling. And it's hard to get over that and move on to the next week, but that's what these drivers have to do. They have to put races behind them, move on, get back in the car, and go on for the next week. So we'll see how this race all shakes up here, the final few laps. People are going to start getting aggressive. We're going to start to see the true character of Bristol come out, and see all these drivers maybe 3 wide up against the wall and all out, maybe throw everything but the kitchen sink at it, maybe even the kitchen sink, as we get ready to go back green. Maybe lights go off on the pace car this time by.
I'm going to see if the lights do go out on top of the iRacing.com pace car. We are currently pacing on lap 189 at 225. Running order up at the top right-hand side of your screen as far as where we are in this thing. Bristol is a racetrack again where at this point I think if you can get 50% of the remaining laps in green, you will be very fortunate. And this is going to put Friedars in a tough position because yes, he is the control car, yes, he has the opportunity to bring us back to the green flag, but eventually, depending on how many times you go through the motions, Dylan Jones is going to get a good restart at some point. Whether he figures out your strategy and catches on to what you're doing, or if you just get lucky. Eventually, if you do it so many times, the 11's going to figure something out, and Friedars is risking allowing the 11 to get into this thing by taking the bottom on the restart again. He's going to want to get up top and protect as soon as he can. Remember that you cannot change lines before the restart. And look at the 88 machine. He is gone the instant the pace car ducked down. The 88 took off, and that's one way of defending. Give those guys no chance of getting up on you.
Yeah, the pace car barely got down across the pit line before that 88 was off and away, and he is away, pulling a little bit of a gap on that 11 to Dylan Jones, as Jones is going to have to fight that 17 of Guerrilla here in just a few laps. Guerrilla having such a great run, as is Dylan Jones, as is Brandon Bowie. We mentioned that earlier. All those drivers starting back sub 20s, and now they're making their way up towards the front of the pack, and now Friedars doing a great job not looking into his mirror and pulling away. Meanwhile, with the 19 all over the place back here, looking back, and he's getting freight trained by a few cars in the contact.
Oh, a big hit for Kyle Kamer. He'll bounce back up on track, and the caution flag is out. I think, Chris, we both saw that one at the same time as we were watching the 19 drop back. Stanford has had a lot of damage and has really struggled on a significant amount of these late race restarts, and just behind Tim, it was Ewing who came off the wall a little bit, sent the 8 into the inside, and luckily nobody else gets involved in that one. Could have been a lot worse, but tough break for Kamer, who really was just minding his own business, and next thing he knows, face first into the wall.
Yeah, we were watching the 19. He had some misfortune, was getting freight trained on the top side. Then just behind him, as you mentioned, I think maybe the 32, I should say, and the 8 kind of met in the middle of the front straightaway, because you can see the 32 coming down off the wall while the 8 of Kyle Kamer is coming up the track. Unfortunately, the 8 gets the short end of the stick on that one, off hard on the inside wall. No control of the car at this point, just lucky nobody else piled in and hit him as he was stopped in the track quickly. As he saw people coming 2 by 2, he immediately hit the gas and got her turned back around and going. But unfortunate hit for that 8, as there is heavy front end damage now on that car.
Heavy front end damage on that machine, and again, I did say that Bristol is no Daytona or Talladega. It doesn't need to be a very pretty looking race car to be able to get through, but I think that is a little bit of too much to overcome. Kind of can tie that back in with the reason why Eric Stanford again is having a rough night as well. He's just got too much damage on the front end of that machine to be able to remain in a competitive motion. We are back under yellow, and Friedars is still leading this race, and we get ever so closer to the end. I do think at this point track position get a rule overall. If Andrew Friedars ain't pitting for tires, Chris, I doubt many people are pitting for tires. I think we've kind of locked ourselves in now.
Yeah, Andrew Friedars has been one of the guys that is kind of an outlier when it comes to pitting here at Bristol. He's been down almost every time he can, but at this point now, I think we're going to be restarting with about 25 laps to go here, Evans. So Andrew Friedars definitely not going to show his hand, maybe not even going to push the luck. He's been able to come back from the mid-pack to the front multiple times here tonight. I think he's done trying that trick. I think he is done having fun. It's all serious. It's all elbows up, and it's coming to the end of this race and winning it and putting the car in one piece.
That's the objective. Just bring her home in one piece. We talked about all the different races this season in general, but specifically in this first segment. 10 race segments 3 times this season is how we split this one up a little bit. Segment champions, the top 3 I believe it was, get a share of a $300 purse each 10 races. But this one has been particularly tough. 2 weeks or rather 3 weeks ago, last time out at Martinsville. Tonight at Bristol. Next week, Richmond. The week after that, Talladega. And the week after that, Dover. I mean, you've got to count your lucky stars if you're going to be in this thing come week 9 or 10 of this segment.
You're exactly right, Evan. I mean, it would take some serious luck for people to be able to keep their cars clean and come at the end of these segments and still be in this thing. And it'll be interesting to see who makes it, because it's really by chance at this point. So everybody doubled up, getting ready to go back green and really bring this thing home.
Lights out on the pace car. We go through the motions again. Farinar's another early jump. Big problems for Boone, though. The 43, I don't know if he lost the gas pedal or what, but that car did not get going. DeMerchant going to split him 3 wide, and we end up double filing it back out after another good jump by the 88, but that almost got ugly back on a row 2.
Yeah, and then look up above them for a battle for second. Dylan Jones, Michael Grulia going at it. Jones on the high side, going to make quick work of that 17 as we're just in 25 laps to go. As the 88 of Andrew Freenars crosses the line this time, we'll have 24 laps to go. So we're getting down towards the end of this thing, down towards the nitty-gritty, Evan, and everybody trying to force their way. Unfortunate for Brandon Bowie, just did not get going, forced 3 wide. And look at the 00, 17th to 8th, a little bit of contact, I should say. 3 wide, and it's not going to stop there. The 00 going to go around the 21, the 67, the 13, another huge mess on the front straightaway.
Plethora of cars in that one. We caught the end of it. It was 3 wide gone wrong. The 6 is the one who bounced off of the outside wall. It was Austin Coop, came down, got into Gabe Wood, and then they rim rode around the outside of turn 3. Thought we were okay, and then we were 4 wide, and I think the 12 got spooked. It was a very spirited move by Michael Cozy to go up the inside. Ross Cato sees that, tries to get out of the way. I don't think he knows that they're 4 wide. Gets up into Gabe Wood, and the pictures speak for themselves as we tear up a couple more race cars for good measure inside of the final 25. So as they clean up a big mess on the back straightaway again, what we'll do is we'll take one more opportunity to step aside during race conditions. We'll go LSRTV non-stop as always, so you don't miss a moment of it all. I don't think the pit road going to be that busy for the drivers. Up front, Andrew Farinar's 20 laps away from a win in the Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series. We'll see if he can hold on from Bristol when we come back. You're watching iRacing Live. Welcome back live to the Bristol Motor Speedway. You're watching LSRTV's continuing coverage of the 2018 Full Throttle Real Estate Racing Cup Series powered by English Auto L.L.C. Evan Pasoku, Chris Burnock upstairs with you. Cisco Scarabus in the production trailer as we get set to buckle up one more time, maybe 208 laps down as we close in on the final 18, now 17 laps to go this time by. And Farinas has held off a couple of challenges, but he's going to have to do it again. Pace car in this time. The 88 has gone very early the last two times. We'll see if the drivers around him catch on, or if the 88 significantly mixes it up a little bit to throw him off. He does. He waits. Look at the 17 all over the back end. Wants to get going. Another picture-perfect start for Farinas.
Farinas definitely knows how to push the buttons of all the other drivers out on the track and really get the start that he wants, because he's at a great advantage right now. Got a good gap over your battle for second right now, which is the 17 of Michael Guerrilla and Dylan Jones. Jones on the outside trying to clear the 17 of Guerrilla, and it looks like he will this time by. Meanwhile, behind them, Galen Gidman and Daniel Eberhardt doing battle. Caution going to be out as there's drivers throughout the back wrecking in 3 and 4.
3 and 4, looks like a lot of them are going to be able to keep on going, but a yellow flag is out. A lot of smoke, not a whole lot of carnage. I think it was a quick yellow for the 89 machine that was of Jeff Ward. That's somebody else who again has been having a fantastic run tonight. Got hit into the quarter by the 37, and if that's what the yellow was for, Chris, we've seen so many times tonight contact lead to a big mess, and all we can say is when you hit somebody like that, it's nearly impossible to recover from that. But that 89 machine just put on a fantastic piece of driving there. What a save.
What a save. Looks like Jeff Ward may be trying out some of the dirt content here on the iRacing sim, really just taking it slideways and somehow managing to yank it back and keep it going. I think that might be what the yellow came out for. Maybe the iRacing server is just a little bit too quick. Maybe thought that Jeff Ward, as well as what we did, thought that Jeff Ward was going to lose that one in 3 and 4, but Jeff Ward proved us all wrong, kept the car going. But yet here we sit under caution again once more, and it looks like when we restart this race here, Evan, we're going to be at 10 laps to go, or maybe even a little bit under, so that should make for an interesting gloves off restart here to end it all.
And it looks like as well that because of that timing, the way that this is all going to shake out is that you're going to have one maximum of 2 more restarts left in this race. If we do go back green with about 10 laps to go or so, a yellow flag cycle anywhere from 4 to 5 laps, and as you know, we say it all the time, that the point of no return is, of course, 4 laps to go or less. So if we were to restart with 5 to go, a yellow at that point I think would really end this race. So you're looking at maybe 2 more chances at best if you're Dylan Jones or Michael Guerrilla or somebody to crack the code that has been Andrew Farinas. And to be honest, they haven't even been close to being competitive with the 88. He's been so good on these restarts.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have to try something completely different to be on the same level as Andrew Farinas on their restart, because we see him go when the pace car goes down. We see him hang back like he did on the last restart, causing some havoc between the 17 stacking up the inside line. He can really do whatever he wants, and that's the luxury you get as the control car. You can go whenever inside that zone, and you don't really have to wait for anybody. So doubling him up here, getting ready to go back green, looking to finish this thing out green.
The objective is to just round this one out and complete how this one will shake out. Is there, of course, maybe going to be changes on some of these other rows? Can't forget the fact that Jones, Guerrilla, even Eberhardt could be putting on a good fight for second, but the one that everybody wants to see is that battle for the race win. And Farinas so far has had it pretty stoutly on lock. Pace car lights are out once more. Your math was pretty dead on there, Chris. It is going to be a 10-lap to go restart from Bristol. Is this going to be the final restart in tonight's Bristol 225? A long, hard-fought, grueling night. We come to a conclusion right here and right now in the high banks of Thunder Valley. Pace car headed down. Friedars has gone early. Friedars has gone late. Which option does he choose? He goes with the proven method right out of the gate. Green flag back in the air. Side by side for a second. Here comes Guerrilla on Jones at 10 to go.
And that's the closest Guerrilla and Jones had been towards Friedars this entire time. They guessed right, but now they got to battle each other. The 17 of Guerrilla low. Dylan Jones on the high side. Jones going to clear him now. Look at Eberhardt. Going to be on the outside of the 17. Jones is there keeping up with the 88 for now, but the 88 of Andrew Friedars slowly but surely pulling away. He needs to have some stellar laps to keep Dylan Jones behind him. Everybody on a level playing field right now. Your closest battle going to be Michael Guerrilla, Seth Demergent. Demergent clears Guerrilla. Now we're all single filed out in the top 10.
Kind of what you want to see if you're going to get some laps in. Dylan Jones wants a couple of laps to get a run at Friedars just because the 88 beat him on the restart. Doesn't mean he's got this thing locked up. The 11 was a little bit slow that time at a 4. Friedars pulls some distance. Look at Eberhardt though, trying to go way high, showered some sparks down on the 57. Emergent swings to the inside, side by side for second on track. Not going to stick down low though, but Friedars has got to be loving this.
Yeah, if you're Friedars and you're looking out your back mirror, this is what you want to see. Let him race. Keep racing back there, boys. Andrew Friedars is going to go away and set the Merchant. Daniel Eberhardt make contact. The Merchant goes up the track, hits the wall. Eberhardt still green. Andrew Friedars continues to pull away. Dylan Jones in second all by himself. Everybody else single filed out as we have 5 laps to go, coming in 4 this time by.
Laps continue to wind down. We are in that pointed overturn, though, whether it be the white flag or a yellow flag. This race will end on the next one, and Andrew Friedars has a little bit of lap traffic on the horizon that he might have to deal with. I don't think he's going to catch up to Silver, though, so it stood be clear sailing for the 88 in front. Still spirited. Second is Jones. Eberhardt is third. Demergent fourth. Coming to 2 to go next time.
2 to go this time by. I thought I saw a car stopped on the apron, but we stay green. Coming out of 4 this time by. 2 to go. Friedars coasting towards the end. He has nothing out the front, nothing out the back. Just got to bring it home in one piece, which we've been preaching all night long. Right now, Jones has to fight off Eberhardt, but everybody's got all their eyes on Andrew Friedars coming out of turn 4. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Final lap from Bristol. Second, third, fourth, fifth, all up for grabs, but it is going to be no contest up front. Tires were the most important thing all night, and Friedars was perfect when he needed to be. Final time at a 4. Checkered flag. Andrew Friedars, your winner from the Bristol Motor Speedway, as some drivers reckon on the last lap a lot of smoke, but the 88 car gets his first win on the 2018 Real Racing Full Throttle Cup Series, powered by English Auto L.L.C.
And that's just a way to end Bristol. Cars wrecking across the line. You see the 82 giving a congratulatory tap to Andrew Friedars. He deserves it. He was the dominant, the class of the field here tonight, coming from mid-pack to the front multiple times. Fresh tires prevailed, and now you can see him pulling up on the apron. A little bit of a Polish victory lap, toward maybe a tribute to Alan Kulwicki. 25 years since we lost the creator of this famed lap, and now you can see the 88 paying some tribute. Going backwards around Bristol Motor Speedway. Congratulations to Andrew Friedars as he burns it down on the front straightaway.
But the best of both worlds, the Polish victory lap and some burnouts on the front straightaway. Andrew Friedars, your winner tonight from Bristol. After a long, hard-fought one, we'll get some post-race reaction from him in just a moment. So we'll step aside one final time. Back to BMS in a moment. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the Full Throttle Real Racing Cup Series, powered by English Auto LLC. The race winner tonight is Andrew Friedars. We'll talk with him and the rest of your top finishers in a moment. The post-race show is next on iRacing Live. This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSRTV and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Live Sim Racing L.L.C. and iRacing.com Motorsport Simulations. LSRTV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. And back live from a much now more calm Bristol Motor Speedway as we welcome you into the LSRTV post-race show following round 6 of the 2018 Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series powered by English Auto LLC. Happy that you're hanging out with us still at iRacing Live. Evan Pasoka, Chris Murdoch with you along with Cisco Scardamusa downstairs. We will take a look top to bottom at your full race results and of course get our post-race interviews in just a moment. But what are a big thanks to English Auto LLC for being the presenting sponsor of all of these Monday night broadcasts. English Auto is a full-service luxury automobile repair center in Odenton, Maryland, conveniently located to serve both the Baltimore and D.C. markets. English Auto specializes in Jaguar, Land Rover, Mercedes, Volvo, and BMW service. Founded in 2007, English Auto is now in its 11th year of business, and with a staff that has over 60 years of combined experience in the automotive service industry, English Auto has an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. For more information, you can visit them online at www.englishauto.us and through social media on Facebook at facebook.com/English Auto and on Twitter at English Auto LLC. Your race winner tonight is Andrew Faridars, Dylan Jones second, Daniel Eberhardt third. The teammates will be trackside with us in just a moment as we get set to catch up with them. Post-race at the Merchant just misses out of the podium spots with a great 4th place result. Fantastic night for Michael Garillia, picked up after the dismal qualifying effort. He rounds out your top 5 this evening. Galen Gidman, very quiet, sneaks into a P6. Spencer Preet ends up 7th position. David Washington at 8th. Brandon Bowie ends up 9th. And Tommy Ryan rounds out your top 10.
Eric Stamford in that 19, gonna bounce back from some heavy damage on that machine to come home in 11th. Michael Cozy gonna be 12th, 13th. Shane Ewing, Ross Cato 14th, 15th. Harry Tiller, Kyle Kammerer 16th. David Folkingham 17th, 18th goes to Sean Casto, 19th. Dwayne Vincent. Jeff Ward rounds out your top 20.
21st position and also final driver to finish on the lead lap is the 82 of Drew Adams. Dick Silver comes home 1 lap down 22nd, 2 laps down 23rd for James Ross. Both Lionel Callisto and Mike Taylor, who come home 24th and 25th, finish 4 laps down. It'll be 5 laps and a negative for Braden Whitaker and Gabe Wood, 26th and 27th. Tom Moreno comes home in 28th position, Austin Cooper's 29th, and Ryan Chambliss is 30th.
Shane Parrish gonna be 31st, AJ Browning 32nd, 33rd Andrew Jones, Ron Flagg 34th, Carl Shea and Travis Brown round out 35 and 36. That's a look top to bottom at your full field results here from Bristol Motor Speedway. I'm gonna toss it down to Evan Pasoka, who is standing in victory lane with that 88 of Andrew Freenars.
The 88 of Andrew Faridars had a lot of time on and off for the pit lane, working those tires, making a lot of passes, and it ends up being the right call as he's your race winner tonight from the Bristol Motor Speedway. Now down trackside with the driver of the number 88 machine. Andrew, congratulations on the win. There was no doubt you guys had a fast race car. You started up front and you spent most of this race towards the front and were able to secure the first win for you on this 2018 campaign. Tell us about it.
Woo! How about that, man? Bristol. Unbelievable. We had a really rough start to this year. I think we've been wrecked out of every single race. We've had fast cars, just no luck. And, you know, a few times tonight I thought we made the bad pit call. And my crew chief just told me to stay out a few times. I'm sorry to him, and I pitted anyway. Definitely probably should have stayed out a few of those times, but we had a really, really good car hooked up on the bottom. I don't think anybody else was able to run it like we could, and that really paid off today. I just can't believe it, you know, second career win in this. It's so hard to do it, and at Bristol, I mean, it's incredible.
Obviously, you have to expect that these races are going to be very unpredictable. We talked about quite the whammy of tracks we got here. Martinsville, Bristol, and Richmond, Dega even, all back-to-back to back-to-back. But you guys were able to stay out of trouble in this one, which was something that a lot of folks couldn't do. This race ends with 21 cars in the lead lap, but I think even a good majority of those guys were beat up. How were you able to keep that 88 machine out of trouble, considering the fact that you guys really liked coming down pit road and getting those fresh tires, and that gave you an upper hand when we went back green, but that would often put you kind of mid-pack in that danger zone. So how'd you strike the perfect balance?
Really, I think when we were out front, there was no worry about wrecking, but when we got back in the pack, it was, I worked all week on that bottom lane, and no one's really down there, so if they're wrecking high. So just being able to run that bottom, I mean, not many people are going to wreck down there. There was one time we nearly got clipped right into the wall, but that and a ton of luck. I mean, I've had no luck this year. We've been wrecked at every single race except this one, so it's luck was on my side tonight, and I'm glad it was.
Definitely never hurts to have a little bit of luck on your side. Tell us about all those late race restarts. You guys get the tires, you get to the race lead just in the nick of time for a yellow flag to come out, but then you had to go through 4 or 5 of them late there with, you know, Dylan and Daniel, all those guys jumping all over you, try to figure out what the call was going to be. You went early sometimes, you went late sometimes. How'd you keep those guys on their toes, and most importantly, keep them behind you?
I was really trying to go at different times, late one time, early one time. That 17, I think he was rolling the starts on me a little bit, so he was probably the only worry. But really, I mean, just easily getting through those gearboxes. It really sucked to have those late race restarts, so the bottom really cooled off, and the high line was the lane there. I was starting to lose speed that I had throughout the race. But yeah, it's just kind of keep them guessing. Go whenever you could and get through the gearbox. I was lucky enough to do it.
Obviously, first top 5, first top 10 for you guys on the year after a little bit of a slow start. In the overall scheme of things, how does this win make you guys feel?
Incredible. I was starting to doubt myself, definitely. I had to have a long chat with my spotter, Steve, just, you know, what we were doing wrong, because we felt like we had cars, and every time we'd pit, we get wrecked. So it's just, it throws a lot of confidence our way. We can be up front. You know, some weeks, I think this week we had one of the better cars. But some weeks, you know, we're a top 5 car every single week. That's what we should be getting. So, shot of adrenaline for us. It proves that we still got it, and look forward to next week.
It's a very hard-fought evening, Andrew. We'll let you get out of here and celebrate. Before we do, as always, the sponsors and the shout-outs that makes it work for you and the 88 team, and, of course, everybody else over the course of the year pound you guys to a win.
Yeah, first I got to thank my dad and my grandpa for watching every week. Sean watches, Steve on the box, Dave and Dylan just on there every single night. One of my best friends, Daniel Everhart. Love talking to all these guys. They're all good friends. James Ross, I actually had a graphics card break a few weeks ago, and he was a big help. He came over to my house and helped me repair it. My brother building the computer, my mom, everybody at Aegis, Kyle Kammer, Eric Stanford, just everybody over there, and especially Andy for putting the paints on the car. I did not have his paint on here, but he always does a great job with those cars. And just everybody at Aegis, sorry for the fans for all the cautions. You know, we want better racing. I think once we move on from these short tracks, it'll be better. And you guys for broadcasting. I always enjoy watching the races. You can get wrecked out the last few weeks. I love just watching these things. They're so much fun.
There's going to be a familiar-looking 88 machine on the camera a lot if you go back and watch this one. Andrew, we'll let you take off, but again, we always appreciate your time post-race. Congratulations. Hopefully, maybe the first win of many on 2018. Good news is we don't have to wait 3 weeks to do it again. We'll catch you next week. Best of luck as we head to another little bit of a battle royale track, if you will, in Richmond.
Thank you so much. Woo, Bristol!
Race winner tonight from Bristol, that is Andrew Friedars, who was up there all night, and he comes out on top as his first win for him on 2018. He becomes the 4th different race winner in 6 weeks of competition. Another driver, though, that was right on the doorstep, and Friedars name dropped him there towards the end. Dylan Jones comes home in 2nd, and trackside with him is Chris Murdoch.
Yeah, Dylan, come home 2nd, but definitely nothing to be ashamed about. 29th to 2nd over the course of a long 225-lap race. How'd the car feel out there tonight?
Honestly, our Partech Aegis Ford Fusion was really tight out there tonight. I didn't think we'd have a very good car. On that little long run we had there, it loosened up real nice, and we were flying. I was following Bowie. I think his car was doing the same thing. If that would have stayed green, that would have been an interesting run and how far up through the field we could have got there. But overall, was a little eventful for us overall, but come out with a good finish here.
You know, track position was so key, and you know that, especially on the restarts. We saw tire spin become a factor here late in the restart. How did you feel you did on the restarts? You know, we saw you start on the outside a lot and being able to use that a little bit, and then the wheel spin and just trying to move all over the track. How chaotic was it out there when you slowed everything back down and tried to restart it?
Yeah, we had to play some not fuel strategy, I guess pit strategy at the end, because we had a backstretch pit, which is like an automatic -8 spots if you come in compared to the guys pitting on the front stretch. And then at the end of the race, my restarts were garbage. I was spinning my tires every time. When Daniel got up behind me, he's like, if you spin your tires, I think I might wreck you. So I tried to tighten it up a little bit there, but the leader gets just that enough jump, and we couldn't stay green long enough to really do anything.
So we went a few weeks ago, had Martinsville come here to Bristol at another short track. Now we move on to Richmond, which can kind of be sort of another brawl style track. You know, a lot of 3-wide tight racing. You know, pushing it down to the corner. You know, how do you think you stack up at Richmond? You looking forward to that one?
I like Richmond as a track, but I'm a little bit tired of brawling, to be honest. I'm ready to get to a 1.5-mile track. I think we go to Talladega after that, so I don't know, it might be a few weeks before we get to a good track that I like, where we hopefully can get some clean and green racing around here.
Well, before we let you go, Dylan, sponsors, shout-outs, maybe even throw it back to a pet fish or something. You got anything you want to say thank you to before we let you go?
All my pet fish somehow drowned in the toilet, but I want to thank everyone at Aegis, PowerTech, and all the guys at LSRTV for putting this on, and all the fans that are sitting up there in those stands there. There's a lot of them there.
All right, there you have it, Dylan. Congratulations on your hard-fought, well-deserved second-place finish. Maybe we'll be talking to you again here next week. No, don't have to wait a few weeks before we get to the next one. Maybe we'll be talking to you soon here at Richmond.
Hope so.
All right, and there you have it. Moving on, Dylan Jones, your second-place driver, going to be moving down just the line a little bit to his teammate, Daniel Eberhardt. Daniel, you know, Aegis 1, 2, 3, hard-fought day. You stuck around the top 10. Had a wild save there throughout the mid part of this race. It was very eventful for you and your team. Talk about how the race went for you out there tonight.
I was just hoping it was done by lap 40. Man, that race was up and down, and we had a long green flag run. It was, wore me out just thinking the whole race. Didn't know whether to pit, not to pit, and then there's a bunch of wrecks. I dodged a few wrecks tonight that made me have a skid mark in my britches. So it was a long night for the 90 team. I will say that at the least.
Pit strategy was such an interesting thing throughout the night, because you would get sort of a green flag run, then you would get 2 cautions back to back, and then you would get another long green flag run. We saw your teammate Andrew Freenars kind of pit whenever he saw fit, really like taking it every caution he could, coming down, getting some tires and working his way back up. How did you and your 90 team really tackle strategy? What did you guys think about coming down pit road, and how, you know, pit road at this track really pays into a factor of pit strategy?
Oh man, Andrew was the king tonight. I mean, he rolled the bottom like nobody else could, and he just had the car to beat all night long. So it was his race to lose, and I got lucky on restarts. We had so many restarts tonight, and luckily I was on the outside on most of them, because if you sat on the outside, everybody else was running the top line against the wall, and Andrew's just down there just rolling the bottom. And I told him, I said, man, this is your race to lose, bud, and you have it in the bag. There was no ifs or buts about it. Andrew Freenage was going to victory lane tonight.
So I asked your teammate Dylan this, and I kind of want to get your take on it, because we went to Martinsville a few weeks ago. We have Richmond next week, and then we have Dega after that. Do you like these kind of brawl type races, these type races, you know, like we had here tonight at Bristol? Or are you ready to get some breathing room back out on the 1.5 miles and be able to race a little bit more spaced out?
I think everybody just wants to space out a little bit. I mean, you go off for a 2-week break. We don't need that long of a break. We have these short tracks that we need, but we don't need them so close together. It's like 3 in a row. It's just not. It's not what we need. I mean, you need to have some Texas in there. That was, you know, we're supposed to be following the actual schedule, and it's like we need a Texas to separate this, to let the nerves calm down. And I think we came into this race tonight at the wrong position. Just everybody came out tonight, and it was just a short track. I mean, you couldn't expect any different tonight, really, to be honest with you. And then we go to Richmond, and Richmond's a little bit better because you can get the middle groove run in a little bit, but it's just going to these short tracks and dealing with that is just it's really tough.
Well, you've hit the point a little bit there, and you know, before we let you go, sponsors, shout-outs, who keeps that 90 car rolling? You kept the nerves under control for tonight, getting that 3rd place done. Who makes it happen for you, Daniel?
Everybody at Aegis, and I just want to say a big shout-out to Andrew tonight. I was proud of him. I haven't heard that anybody that excited all season long on these races, man. It's awesome to hear that much excitement come from it, because he earned it. You know, he works his tail off to get these things done, and you know, I tell him all the time that talent, you know, all the talent we have, sometimes hard work beats that. If you don't work hard enough, then you'll work even harder to get it next week. And he's just had a tough run. And then Dylan, Andy, Dave, Kamer, Dwayne Vincent, all them guys, and what you guys do each and every week, Ross Cato, all y'all, just Cisco, hands down, is the best in the business. And maybe we'll figure this out. Maybe Barnes and all y'all will talk this over and look at these short tracks, and maybe we'll figure this out and have a kind of a driver's meeting about it. And I believe we'll have better races to come.
That's the correct mindset.
Hold on. I got to thank my beautiful girlfriend and the good Lord above. I'm sorry.
Oh, boy, you can't leave that one out.
Yeah.
Can't forget that one.
Yeah. All right. You guys have a good night.
You have a good one as well, Daniel. There you have it, your 3rd place finisher, Daniel Eberhardt. I think we need more of the excitement that we saw from Andrew Evan, because he was pretty excited, ranting and raving about the win. But when you have such a downward spiral that you've had that he's had this season, to bounce back and to get it done at Bristol nonetheless, it is something to be proud of, and he really was.
Yeah, and, you know, just to survive a race at Bristol, I think, is enough to celebrate in its own right. Nonetheless, to not only get your first win of the year, but again, first top 10 for the 88 team. I was looking at the points, and I'm like, well, there's no way he's that far down. Did he miss a couple of stops or starts? And no, Friedars has been here on a weekly basis, and it's taken a while for that team to break through, but he finally does. This night saw a little bit of everything. A couple of exciting saves on the track, some exciting saves on the mic there. Eberhardt avoided some troubles later by getting in
sleeping in the doghouse
at the last minute. Yeah, no kidding. And long race, so cut him some slack. He got it in. And again, you know, 2 weeks off to kind of mentally prepare for this, but it is just going to come right at you. Richmond next week, Talladega, and then Dover. So there is really no more opportunity to breathe for quite a little bit.
Yeah, and we heard, you know, some of the driver frustration and Daniel Eberhardt, because the nerves are shot going from Martinsville to Bristol to Richmond, all these tight track races. Eberhardt just wants to be able to breathe a little bit. Well, I think he's going to have to wait till after Talladega to get that luxury as we come through here and finish up Bristol. Friedars gets it. Jones, definitely the biggest mover of the race, 29th to 2nd. So definitely a good day for Aegis Motorsport as they get it done. 1, 2, 3, kind of set up the board here to go into Richmond next week.
Freedar said that the only way he was able to get out of the chaos was to get up front, so if you want some breathing space, you got to go up and find the race lead like the 88 Adventure Freedars did. That's all for us here tonight for the Bristol Motor Speedway. We've got plenty more live sim racing action coming up right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live this week. We'll be back at it Wednesday night for the series debut of the CEA Weekly Dirt Series. You're not going to want to miss that one. It'll be Wednesdays alternating with the Cars U Sport Tour. It starts this Wednesday at 9 Eastern. And then, of course, at the end of the week, as always, Friday nights with the Southwest Construction Super Speedway Cup Series at 9 Eastern, and our Saturday night doubleheaders with the Outlaw Racing League, the Outlaw Modifieds with the Bootleg Racing League at 9, and as soon as the checker flies in that when the green comes out for the USR BNC Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series at 10 o'clock. That's what's due up throughout the rest of the week, but if you want to look at our full upcoming broadcast schedule, you can find us online at www.livesimracing.com, but you can also keep up to date with us by subscribing right here on YouTube and turning on the notification bell. And of course, by liking us on Facebook at facebook.com/LSRTV official, and by following us on Twitter at LSRTV. Until next time, though, on behalf of our entire team at Live Sim Racing LLC, for the folks behind the scenes, CJ Lyon, Laura Lost, and everybody who's up in the booth on a night in and night out basis, who make all of this possible, and of course for your broadcast team tonight, for myself, Evan Pasoka, Chris Murdoch, and our producer Cisco Scaramusa, I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate Andrew Freedar's first win on 2018. Short Track Fever continues. We will be back next Monday night, April the 23rd. Same time, same place, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live, where you can catch every race of this 2018 Full Throttle Real Sim Racing Cup Series powered by English Auto LLC. Until next time, we tell you good night from Bristol.